Maverick News, the antivirus program for your mind. And now, the Freedom Reporters.
Hello everybody, it's me, Brendan Kennedy, with Maverick News, the co-host thereof, and I am just awaiting on Rick Walker, who will be joining us shortly. So, we do have quite a show lined up for everybody today, and starting with at about 6:15 Eastern Standard Time, we have Joseph Bourgault, one of the candidates for the leadership position of the Conservative Party of Canada. And here is the host of the show, Rick Walker. Hello.
Hello, Brendan. And hello to all of our Maverick family. While I get rid of that annoying echo. Great to see everybody tonight. We have, looks like a pretty full house. Lots of people watching, tuning in. So that's fantastic. And
Wow,
yes,
man.
I was listening. And yes, we do have a lot of great things to share with you, and some of the top stories of the day we will be commenting on, and we're excited to talk to Joseph Bourgault. I hope I'm pronouncing his name properly.
Bourgault, I thought. Anyway, he'll sort that mess out on when he comes on. We're definitely very happy to have him
Bourgault.
and his definitely happy to have him and his insight that he's going to be bringing. So yeah, as you all know, in the great trucker convoy of 2022, it ended up with the leader of the opposition, Erin O'Toole, being removed from caucus, and so now Canada is currently looking for a new leader of the opposition, and there is a number of candidates being lined up at this point, including today's guest, Joseph Bourgault. Also lined up is MPP Roman Babar, Patrick Brown, the mayor of... Where is he the mayor of? Brampton. Mark Dalton, Jean Charest,
Liberal.
Yep. Yes, he's had a really flip-floppy past, and not a whole lot of people are happy about him, but remains to be seen. Leslyn Lewis.
Liberals seem to like him.
Yeah. Do you think they'll all buy Conservative Party memberships just so they could vote for him?
I think that's the problem with the Conservative Party.
There isn't like an aptitude test you have to take beforehand to determine how conservative you are?
Apparently not. In fact, I think these days, because they've been infiltrated and taken over by liberals, I think you have to prove that you're progressive enough in order to be a member of what was the Progressive Conservative Party, now the Conservative Party of Canada. So I think even though they're no longer the PCs, they're the CPCs, I think they're more progressive than ever. Very red, very liberal, very, very, very progressive.
Well, that's what we got with Erin O'Toole, who is just the absolute Conservative Party leader ever to take the reins. I call him Flip-Flop O'Toole because he flip-flopped so much. He flip-flopped on defunding the CBC. He flip-flopped on Justin Trudeau's illegal firearms ban. He flip-flopped on... Oh, what else did he flip-flop on? Getting ahead of myself there.
Everything, because he followed the polls. He'd go, which way is the wind blowing today? And then he would do that. As long as it was progressive enough. Because he would never do anything conservative. But I think our guest today, our guest, I think, is somewhat conservative.
Yeah. Yeah, it appears that way. We'll let him kind of give a background on everything he's done, but most importantly, he flip-flopped on the carbon tax plan, and then he implemented Erin O'Toole did, that is, and then he implemented an even worse plan, where at least the Liberals were like, we'll give you some of the money, back with your tax return, and you could choose to do what you want with it. But then the Conservative Party was like, we're going to do a carbon tax plan, but you can only buy the stuff that we say you can buy, which is not conservative at all, because I would say conservatism is more about putting more money in your pocket so you can decide what to do with it.
So we have other stuff we will be talking about today too. If I can get the marbles out of my mouth. Today was the first day in Ontario that people did not have to wear masks in stores
or schools.
The crowd goes wild, and but not everyone. If they weren't going wild out of excitement, they were going wild because they're full of fear and won't take the masks off. So I went out today and I was in the field and interviewed a bunch of people. So we have some video to share with you that never seen before footage of people walking around without masks on. It's amazing.
It is amazing. It's a miracle. I'm very happy for this day, but not only are we going to show you the good side of this, we're going to show you what the mainstream media pumping fear into the brains of civilians for 2 years has done to them. And so we're going to talk about
what do you get a load of the guy who kind of, well, he offered to give me he offered to put my camera in an orifice that wasn't really meant to accommodate photography equipment or videography equipment.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll share that with you coming up later on Maverick News.
So how did it feel to be back in the field again?
Well, people, when the guy was yelling at me, I asked, everybody was standing around looking, and then he was okay. And I just asked around, I said, does anybody want my job? It just comes with the territory. What can I say?
Of course, I'm excited to see it, and so is everybody else. But we're going to take a look at some non-governmental organizations which are famous for causing all kinds of terrorism in this country. We're going to be talking about their massive failure for a walkout protest plan, so we're going to talk about that too.
Protests surrounding the mask mandates.
Yeah, they want to keep the mask.
They wanted to keep the masks, so they were encouraging kids to walk out of class today. So we went down to check that out, and no walkouts around here, so nothing to show you on that front, other than kids just going back and forth to school. So yeah, and before we get too deep into things, I think because we're going to get into stuff for a while, we'll just do this now to address it before we move on to subject matter. If you can donate to support our work, so you can help me cover my medical bills when I get beat up in the field, which was almost the case today. You can do that at freedomreporters.com, or you can click the hot link in the YouTube description, Facebook, or on Rumble, or like, share, subscribe, ring the notification bell on YouTube to make sure you get the notifications so you don't miss any of our videos. Because when I do get beat up in the field, because I won't fight back, you're going to want to see it. It'll be a ratings builder. I've never actually been beaten up in the field ever. And all the years I've been working as a journalist, I've never been beaten up. Come pretty close to having some pretty serious stuff happen to me, mind you. But I've been very fortunate.
That's good.
Yeah. And anyway, you can donate to us at freedomreporters.com. There are ways to handle those things. And You'll see how it went down today.
But tell all your friends, tell all your family, tell them to join in and be a Maverick.
Yeah, well, news stories, Politics is an emotional thing, so people sometimes get pretty emotional about it, as you've seen here on this channel, which is why what's the biggest highlight of the show? The Rick rants, right? The Rick rants. That's what everybody tunes in for. Well, not everybody, but I would say 80% of the viewers just tune in to see when I'm going to blow a gasket.
Which we also need help with those medical bills too. So
yeah, my heart medication, blood pressure. Yeah. Help us.
Help us. We need help.
I do need help.
Also, we're building stuff. We're building websites and all kinds of certain things in the future to come. So anything you can do to help support us is absolutely amazing. It's been a great journey here. I missed you all on the weekend, and our guests should be arriving soon. So.
Yeah, very shortly. Yeah, and we do have that phone system coming in. It's all here. It's set up. We're testing it. We need to make sure that it functions properly because it's not as simple as just connecting a phone. It has to be. It's a complete program so that we can field calls. It has a producer function in there so that the calls can be screened so that we don't have people saying crazy stupid things. They're trying to troll us with calls and all of that. So it's we have to handle these things professionally. So we have a professional system that is set up. We're just testing it now. And I think that we probably will have it fully functional sometime this week. And we'll be able to take calls from you guys, part of our Maverick family, so that we can start, as I said before in previous broadcasts, start putting voices to some of the names in the chat area. And then we can get you guys more engaged in the conversation at certain points in the broadcasts. And maybe even have entire shows dedicated to the call-in feature, right? Which I think is going to be great.
I think so too.
We see a lot of really, really good comments, thousands and thousands of them every night. So I'm looking forward to that. And that's just one of many things that we're doing to improve our production values, expand our coverage, so that we can provide other perspectives on the news and get everybody closer to the truth.
And that's what it's all about at the end of the day, being able to practice our God-given free speech. And that's...
Yeah. And thank you to people who have donated already at freedomreporters.com. We greatly appreciate the support. It's that support that is allowing us to do these things. And that is what has allowed us to expand over onto Rumble. And we're expanding over onto other platforms, including Gab. We're up on BitChute as well now. You can't live stream there, but the broadcasts are being reposted over there, so that will serve as an archive and an alternative way to go and watch all of these programs later. So we already have a few broadcasts up there, and we'll be adding other platforms as well as we expand out. So that's what we're doing. And we're doing more in the field. We'll be doing more in the field, bringing you live footage like the footage you're going to see shortly after our interview with one of the newest Conservative Party of Canada leadership hopefuls coming up very shortly here on the Maverick News Channel, the antivirus program for your mind. So we're also going to talk tonight about Hunter Biden's laptop.
The laptop from hell.
Yeah, Bill Barr said today that Joe Biden lied about it. Imagine that. And then we have, some other clips surrounding all of that. And we're going to talk about how all of that, of course, ties back into Ukraine and the conflict there, and we'll bring you up to date on what's happening in Ukraine tonight as well. We won't devote, the entire broadcast to it or anything tonight,
No.
but certainly developments there and some perspectives that I think that we need to focus on again, because it's important as we send money and military aid to Ukraine. And the other issue that I want to talk about as well is a news story that has been circulating about Putin lying about Ukraine harboring or being Nazified. He said the story is basically that there are no Nazis in Ukraine because they have a Jewish president. Well, we're going to talk about that. And I think that's another important thing to discuss. Because you need to know where your tax dollars are being spent, how they're being spent, and who the recipients are. I think Canadians need to know, deserve to know, and the responsible thing to do is to talk about that.
It is very important to know because, I mean, just last Friday, the government of Ontario did, in fact, announce that Canada's military stockpile is now depleted.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, we're in this situation like we were at the beginning of the pandemic where we have this health crisis emerging and we've shipped all of our medical supplies to China.
Yeah. So let's hope that the Russians don't get too pissed off at us and decide to attack us, because if they do, we sent all of our military supplies to another country. I don't think there would be much we could do other than call up Joe Biden and ask him to bail us out if the Russians decided to invade.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Canada has not met its NATO requirements for funding whatsoever, ever, in a long time.
Yes.
Just how it goes.
So, yeah, I'm not sure where our guest is yet. He was supposed to sign on probably about 5 minutes ago. But the mask mandates did come off in Ontario today. So maybe what we'll do is we'll go straight to that video and let that roll while we wait for our guest to show up. Do you want to do that, Brendan? Let it rip. We have about 5 minutes here, so let me just get this queued up, and we can start with this. And here we go. Question. Just wondering, how do you feel about Mask Monday and the masks coming off today? You're still wearing yours.
Okay, sometimes it's difficult to breathe, and I want to remove the mask always because, but due to the COVID-19, it is mandatory to wear a mask. But as per my perception, it is to be removed immediately. It is to be removed as soon as possible.
Yeah. So today's the day you can take it off to go in stores. You're
yeah.
allowed to today, but you're still wearing yours. And did you know, or do you care?
I don't know.
Yeah, you don't have to anymore. You can go wherever you want today.
Okay, so today we want to be a mask free, man.
Yeah, you don't have to wear a mask anymore today. Yeah. You didn't know?
Yo, I did.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe you were just wearing a mask because you still wanted to.
Okay.
All right. So, will you continue to wear your mask, or will you take it off now?
No, I will take it off now.
I'm just wondering how you feel about No Mask Monday.
I love it.
Yeah. Freedom?
Yes.
A little bit.
So how you feel about no masks on Monday today?
I feel awesome because I have troubles breathing.
Yeah. You've been, like everybody else, kind of putting up with it all this time?
Yep.
Yeah. You've been out today. Are you seeing many people still wearing masks?
Not that many. A few, though.
Yeah. And do you think people who are still wearing them, why do you think they're still doing that? Are they afraid? Is that what it is?
Maybe afraid or just used to it.
No Mask Monday? You happy about it?
I'm happy, but still cautious.
Yes, yeah. Can I ask you how you feel about no masks today?
No, it doesn't make a difference to me.
Okay. How about you? How do you feel about not wearing a mask today?
Doesn't matter to me. I got one if they want it, one if they want it, one if they don't want it.
Yeah. Are some stores still asking for it?
No, not really.
No?
We got nobody's bugging us for a mask, are they, darling?
No.
But what's the government stopped it, or is it just?
Yeah, the government says you don't have to do it, but if stores still want to, I guess they're allowed to. So,
Yeah.
you know, whatever.
I can't see how it hurts to wear it.
Yeah.
Because you're going to, especially like as you say, if you're going into a bunch of stores, you're going to be meeting a bunch of people,
Yeah.
and there's a chance they're going to have, one of them is going to have that disease, what the hell they call it, COVID, right?
I guess, whatever.
I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me, but
So I guess it's just a personal choice at this point now, unless
Yeah.
the stores make the personal choice where they want people to wear it if they come into their establishment.
yeah,
So
or vice versa. I guess that's what they should be. Just
let people decide for themselves, I guess, to.
But you're saying the government can say we can't do it?
You don't have to wear it today. It's gone.
Oh
Like, the
yeah,
mask
but I mean,
mandate's gone, yeah.
but they're not going to stop you from it.
No,
Yeah.
I don't see why you couldn't, unless they were worried that you were going to rob the place and you're trying to conceal your identity, I guess. But
Well, isn't that funny, eh? You can walk right in here now
Yeah.
with a mask on,
yeah,
demand money, and guess what?
yeah.
Thank you. You used to do that. You walk in there.
Oh.
with a mask on.
Oh, you
Yeah.
get charged.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. You have a great day. Thank
Take
you.
care, brother.
See ya. How you doing?
Not good.
Not
Hi.
good. Hi.
Why don't you take that and shove it up your ass?
Why?
Because if you don't, I'll shove it up there for you.
Oh, I wouldn't want you to do that.
Hey, I'll take a picture for you.
Yeah, like a.
Yeah, you don't have to see if you have any fucking files or anything. You know what I mean?
What's the issue? I don't understand why you're so upset.
It's run by a bunch of fucking goofballs.
What's run? But
PCs run this fucking place like a shithole. Ruined our fucking health care. Allowed fucking people to come across the border trying to take over our government.
uh-huh.
Fucking almost as bad as the fucking Nazis. Thank you.
Yeah. You still wearing your mask today? You know you can take
You're
it off.
fucking right, I am.
Yeah.
You think I'm taking it off with a bunch of fucking meatheads running around here? Fuck that shit.
Okay. Well.
I'm fucking serious. This is a bug, man.
Okay. Well. Try and have a nice day.
Not a little fucking.
Okay. Take care. Hi.
That's so fucking stupid.
Good. Can I ask you how you feel about the No Mask Monday? You guys still want to wear your masks, or did you?
I don't want to wear it.
You don't have to wear them today. You knew that.
Yeah.
But did they still want you to? Is that
No,
what?
I
it-
just wore it
just.
because I didn't know for sure.
I see. How you feel about it? Not sure.
Who you work with?
Maverick News. We're like an independent news
Nice.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad that it's happened.
Yeah.
Especially
Well.
for the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just in time for summer, so you can enjoy the weather and
Yeah.
get outside again. Thank you.
Have a good day.
See ya.
Thanks.
How about No Mask Monday?
Yeah.
Yeah. You liking that, or how do you feel?
Oh, I feel awesome. It's great.
A little bit of freedom back.
That's right.
Yeah.
We all gotta love that.
A little easier to breathe.
That's right.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good one. You too.
Hi there.
Hi.
How do you feel about the no mask thing today? You don't have. You still gonna wear your mask today? Yeah. Okay. See ya. How you doing? How do you feel about the no masks today?
Hey, it's everybody to their own.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're still gonna wear yours?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Stay safe as possible.
All right. Take care. I don't know. How do you feel about it?
Well, either way, they're supposed to wait one more day.
3 years ago, we never wore a mask, and COVID's a scam and a hoax,
Uh-huh.
and nobody should be wearing a mask. There's over 1,000 studies indicating that not to wear a mask, but there isn't one telling you that it's good for you.
That's right. Yeah.
So you know this.
Yeah.
You're a smart man.
Well,
You do some research. Most people don't do any
I
research.
gotta go, man.
you guys
Good
take
to
care.
see ya.
You have a good day. Hi there. Well, I'm with Maverick News. Just wondering how you feel about the no mask thing today. You're still wearing yours?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
Absolutely.
yeah. You just want to be extra cautious.
So many people left town for March break. You don't know where they've been, who they've been with. I think for a few weeks I'm going to wear a mask.
Yeah, just to be extra safe. I guess too, you're concerned because of your personal situation, like your risk factors and so on.
Well, yes,
Yeah.
because I'm 70 and I worry about that. But I also have grandchildren that I want to see.
Mhm.
I can't see them if I'm sick,
Right. Yeah.
and I certainly don't want to make them sick.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why. And I also have a husband who's stage 4 cancer survivor, so we have to be careful.
I understand. And are people being respectful as you're wearing your mask? Not having anybody give you any trouble, are you?
Not so far.
No.
No.
Yeah.
And it's a personal choice.
Yes.
Personal, I think.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
How are you doing today? How do you feel about the no masks today? How you guys doing today?
Good.
How do you feel about no masks today?
Love it.
Effie.
Love it.
Iffy?
Strange.
Yeah, a little weird, I guess,
Feels
for some
great.
people. Yeah, thank
You
you.
can smile at people now.
That's right. Wondering, how do you feel about no masks?
Maverick News.
Yes.
I watch you.
Oh, do you?
I do.
Oh,
I love it.
Excellent.
I'm so happy. Yeah,
Yeah.
I watch you all the time.
Oh,
I
that's
love
awesome.
Rebel News too.
Yeah, they're good too. Yeah.
They're wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, this is great. Yes. Now we can breathe.
Yeah. Yeah. So, have you been to many stores? Is anybody asking for masks still
Well,
today?
actually, this is my first store today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I'm going into Dollarama. So we'll
All right.
see.
Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Take care. Hi there. Can I ask you how you feel about the No Mask Monday? Did you know you didn't have to wear your mask today?
No, I will wear it sometimes when I'm around people that's coughing and stuff. I will wear it, but other than that, it's nice not to have them on because they bug me a lot.
Yeah. So are you gonna? You've still got it on though. Are you gonna keep wearing your mask?
I'm not going to keep wearing it all. I just want to have it on just in case somebody's in there start coughing or something. I don't want to catch anything.
I see.
But when I don't have to wear it, I won't wear it. But I just figure I'm just going in there and I just don't like to get sick because I've been sick enough.
Yeah.
With my CPS and everything else, can't afford to get sick.
I understand.
But I know that I don't like them because one of my glasses steam up and stuff like that. But other than that, I won't wear it that often. I just figure if I'm by somebody, I want to cover my mouth.
Right.
That's really it.
All right. Thank you.
Nice day out today.
Yeah. You take care. Hello, ladies. How do you feel about the no mask thing today? Are you happy about the no masks?
And not really, because I'm afraid about the kids going to school today. It's what I'm afraid of. So I've been wearing it part of the time anyway.
Yeah. Still sometimes wearing it.
Yes.
Good. I'm with the Maverick News. Just wondering how you're feeling about the no masks today.
I'll still wear mine.
Yeah. How come? Why?
I've had a heart attack and stuff like that, so
Yeah.
I don't want to get it.
Yeah. I can
Plus,
understand.
I've had my 2 shots plus my booster, so
Yeah. So you'll continue to wear your mask. How long?
so it's over.
Till it's over.
Yep.
All right. Thank you very much. You
You're
have a nice
welcome.
day.
Yeah.
Hello.
I was in a rush to get to the car, but I think it's fine. If people feel safe, take it off. If they don't, keep it on.
Yeah.
It's simple.
Yeah. A personal choice at this point, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I mean, I wear mine inside. I think because we've been using it for such a long time, it's sort of we've got into the habit of putting them on, and it feels weird without our face being covered.
Yes.
Anyway, we'll
Yeah.
get used to it again, and hopefully we'll get away with them. Take
That-
them off all over the place. Yeah.
Yes.
Sounds good.
That's right. Thank you
Anyway.
very much.
Oh, have a grand day.
You too. See ya. Just wondering how you're feeling about the no mask rule today.
I don't know if long enough to comment on that. Have a good day.
Okay. Take care. How about you? How do you feel about the no masks today? You're still wearing yours?
Yes.
Yeah. How come? Just to be extra safe?
Yeah. Well, our son and grandson and that had COVID last week, so they're just getting over it.
I see.
And we're not around them, but so it's telephone communication only.
Yeah.
So it's still around.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay.
How you feel about the no masks today?
Pretty good.
Pretty good? Yeah. Have you been to many stores?
No, not right now. We're just heading out there now.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
still might wear the mask. I'm not sure yet.
Haven't decided yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to kind of let go of that feeling of security, I guess, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. You guys have a great day.
You too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And there you have it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the beautiful, the talented Rick Walker. There you have it.
In answer to your previous question, what was it like to be back out in the field today? I like that. I like going out talking to folks and getting their opinions on things. It really gives you, it puts you in touch, with what's really going on in the community, and I like that.
Yeah.
And even, the fella that was upset, I get it. He's scared. He, I was laughing because there's some I see some humor in it because what he wants to do to me, but aside from that, I feel a little bit sorry for him. I think he's a little confused. But you see, that's what the media has done.
Yeah,
They've made people so neurotic over the years.
That's indoctrination right there. I would go so much to say that it's so deeply embedded in him. And he's quite upset with the political position in Ontario at this point. Like, I don't understand them necessarily, but I will always listen for sure. You definitely handled yourself well there because I don't think he was going to get nasty. I think he's probably one of those people who probably has a worse bark than a bite, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, he was. He's just upset, and I can tell that in his case, I could see that he takes that home. That wasn't really about me at all. That was like, he's angry and upset, and most of all, scared. He's been bombarded with media, negative media for so long, like so many people. There is psychological damage on a mass scale that has been done to our society. And that is a perfect example of it. He isn't really even sure how to lash out or what to be upset about. He's upset with the government, but I think he's calling the Doug Ford and the provincial government Nazis, but at the same time he wants harsher lockdowns and doesn't want the mask mandates gone because he's so scared. So he's all over the map.
Yeah.
And doesn't really know what to do. So he's just going to keep his mask on because it gives him some sort of a security blanket like so many other people. And I get it, man. If you've been walking around for 2 years wearing a thing on your face and then you take it off, it's going to take a little bit of time for people to adjust to not having that on again and getting used to the idea that you can walk through, a public place and not get infected. Like, I know that there are people out there who walk by other human beings now and hold their breath because they're so afraid. Even when they have a mask on,
of course. Well, the reality of it, that one person there pointed out an interesting thing there, where he had established that there's all these studies about masks, but there isn't any studies not one single study about a mask being good for you. And I thought that was a very interesting point. Also, I find a lot of irony that it seemed there was a lot of people who are more elderly out there today, like the one person who said that her husband had cancer and that sort of thing, and that they have grandchildren. Interesting that at the beginning of this pandemic, it was protect your grandparents, and now it seems the grandparents are protecting the youngsters.
And the one thing that I did take note of is that so many people said it's a personal choice.
Yes.
And you know what, Brendan, in my opinion, it should have been a personal choice from the very beginning. The entire problem that I've had with the government approach has been their decision to make everything a mandate, an order, a law of some kind, to force people to do this or force people to do that, force people to take an injection, force people to wear a mask, force people to stay home, force people, using coercion, force. They took it to such extremes that it absolutely what has been like living in a police state, a Nazi state. They've been acting like tyrants, like Nazis, absolutely, like communists.
Mm-hmm. No, it has been that way. I'm in the same boat as you, and regrettably, like at the beginning, I knew that there was a lot of things wrong, and I didn't see a whole lot wrong with the mask at first because it's like, well, if you want to do that, like go ahead, like it's fine. But the place I was working at the time, it's like then it started to sink in how much security theater that this was.
Yes.
When you're sitting down at your desk, you don't have to wear your mask. You have to take your mask off. Somebody comes in and says, well, we need you over here and over there. You got to get up from your desk, put your mask on, because God forbid there's some difference between that and the other thing. Walk across the building, and then it's security theater. That's exactly what it is. Ron DeSantis hit the nail on the head when he called it that. It's simply what it is. And even the definition thereof, a mask, is personal protective equipment. It is not called everybody protective equipment.
If you have good public health policy and you have good officials, leaders in place, and you have legitimate science behind what you're doing, especially in Canada, it's not difficult to get people to cooperate and do what they can to help and do what is in their best interests. It really is not. You would have had very high compliance, if you want to call it compliance, or cooperation or adoption of policies without the need to be coercive, without the need to have cops going out and arresting people and handing out tickets and policing parks to make sure the kids weren't skateboarding and all of this crap. And the outcome, I'm certain, would have been maybe even better than what we ended up with on the transmission and infection and death side.
Yeah.
What this has been, in my opinion, the worst public health failure in history on a global scale. Well, and it's because they've been so coercive.
Well, not only that, it's like they looked at what China was doing, and then they're like, well, this is what China is doing, so we'll just do that. Like we've adopted authoritarian style measures to combat a virus, and it's despicable. It's evil. We don't live in China. Why are we adopting Chinese policies?
That's a very good question, and it's like I said, that guy is neurotic. The guy who was yelling at me, right? Mm-hmm. He's and a lot of these, you can see that the population as a whole is neurotic, and that becomes from the way the media has been dealing with this, and they're taking the lead from public health officials. But it's been like that. Well, it was like the media has been making people neurotic on every front for a long time. When I was working at CTV, it was like if there's a snowstorm, it's like it's going to be the worst snowstorm ever. Don't go out, and then you'd get like a quarter of an inch or something. It would be like don't drink the water; it'll give you cancer. There's a new study out, and then the next story would be make sure you drink 10 glasses of water a day to stay hydrated. Right? Mm-hmm. It's that kind of reporting that's inconsistent. It flipped. You talk about flip-flopping. Well, it's been the same thing with a lot of these, a lot of the messaging that came down the line during the pandemic, where you'd say in the beginning, oh, you don't need to wear a mask. Then it became, yes, you should wear a mask. Then it became mandatory to wear a mask. Then it was like, look, where you should wear 3 masks. So inconsistent messaging. And it makes people neurotic. And after 2 years of that stuff, now you're seeing like today. So here's my observation as I was out doing this today. Probably 20% of the people were still wearing masks. Mm-hmm. Didn't need to, but they were still wearing masks. And probably 30, up to another 30% or so, maybe 40%. You could tell they were a little uncomfortable, couldn't quite get used to it. When you're speaking to them, they were like, I don't know, it doesn't feel right. I don't have the mask on, and it's strange. And then the rest of the people are like, yeah, right on. Mm-hmm. I'm glad that I don't have to wear it anymore. But they've made people paranoid, neurotic. afraid of other human beings.
I wonder how many other people out there just simply don't know. Like that first individual at the beginning of the video, he just didn't know.
There were quite a few. A lot of people were confused. Some people thought that today was like a buffer day or something. So you were supposed to wait until tomorrow, and they weren't sure what they were going to find in the stores. And a lot of people who weren't wearing them were wearing them around their wrist in case somebody yelled at them. They were afraid that they were going to run into people in the stores who were like, "Put your mask on," right?
That is something that is troubling and telling about the Canadian people, and I think people in general, is their fear of confrontation, that somebody might ask them a question. This goes into a deeper issue with North America today, where we're afraid of making contact with people, whether it be an authority in a store, like somebody owns a store. I haven't worn a mask since, well, I mean, only 2 places I would ever wear it, but I haven't worn one since, I would say, December of 2020 when I stopped wearing the mask, December 2020. And I've only ever been bothered by one person. And he goes, hey, what about your mask? I said, oh, well, I'm exempt, as I walked away with a big smile on my face. And I do that. And Buddy was like, no, you need your mask. And then he just gave up. He was just like, He literally did this, and he waved his hand at me. But people are terrified of confrontation. Yeah. They don't want it.
And, you know, the Matt Matrix says a lot of people are still wearing them in California, which is where he's watching from tonight. Thank you for that, Matt. I appreciate it. You know, the other side of this is that the media here in Canada anyway, and I think in the U.S. as well to some degree, they keep saying they're worried about people who choose to wear their mask are going to be harassed by anti-vaxxers and anti-maskers. And I can tell you that there was none of that going on today that I could see at all. I asked people too, because I don't believe that that's the case, because I think you'll agree with me, Brendan, all the people we know who are pro-freedom are exactly that. They want people to have choice. And that's what I kept hearing from people today. It's a personal choice. It should have been a personal choice from the very beginning. And they are saying, you know, well, it's a personal choice. Well, people are pro-freedom don't go around trying to take people's choices away. People who are pro-freedom are like, you want to wear a mask? Go ahead and wear a mask. Just don't make me do something that I don't want to do. And then we're cool. That's it.
It also plays off of the confrontational thing that I was just talking about, that people just want to be left alone in their daily lives, and hence why they always wore the mask. They want to be left alone now. And so even if they see somebody in the mask, like, why would they get so triggered? Like the angry guy who wanted to give you a colonoscopy. He's probably going to assault somebody over somebody who is maskless, I would say, or get confrontational with somebody who's not wearing their mask. I would say it's more likely, in the scheme of things, that individual or somebody who is a mask hole, we'll call them a mask hole, is going to get tied up in a situation or a confrontation with somebody who's not wearing a mask, or demanding their 6 feet of space or to get out of their bubble. But freedom of choice is where it is at. I'm all about that. And so are you, for that matter. There's nothing wrong if you want to wear one. It's culturally acceptable and has been in a lot of Asian countries, like Japan. A lot of people wear masks. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't feel the need to wear it, because you got enough problems when you got your keys, wallet, your phone. You got to go to the store. You forget your mask. It's like,
this is my personal opinion. I don't think the masks help with the COVID thing. I'm pretty sure it makes it worse.
In
and
fact,
it
I've
causes
heard-
other problems. But that's my opinion. I'm not a scientist. That's my opinion, and that's just based on the information that I've read. Okay, so that's my opinion. But
In
here's
fact-
the thing: you saw some of those folks, right? That
Yeah.
I spoke to today. I totally respect their decision. Some of them are elderly. Some of them have that. The one gentleman has a heart condition. Another lady tells me that her husband, is a cancer survivor. They're concerned. They're worried. If it makes them feel better, then that's also part of being healthy. If you feel secure, that's okay, because because that's part of good mental health, right? So if it makes you feel better, go ahead. But I'm not going to judge that. And if you think that it's helping, protect you, then that's cool with me. If you want to wear a hockey mask and some shin guards, then that's cool too. It doesn't bother me. Just do whatever you want.
Of course.
So, and I think we're all in on that. And Brendan, the other thing with me, it's like if our public health officials, our mayors, our police chiefs, all these people had not been so authoritarian about all of this stuff, I would have been much more compliant. I wouldn't have been upset about any of it. It's like, you want to do that? Go ahead. But you want to go around forcing people, handing out $100,000 fines. You want to start locking people up. You want to start arresting pastors. You want to do all this BS, authoritarian tyrant crap. I've got a big issue with that. Huge issue with that. You want to make it encourage people to do these things because you really legitimately think that they're going to help. Then you know what? I probably would have been walking around with a damn mask on just because they'd asked us to do that, right? Yeah. Ask and ye shall receive. You force me, we've got an issue, especially if what you're forcing me to do, in my opinion, makes no damn sense and might even be counterproductive.
Yeah. In fact, that is the epitome of who I am. You can't ask me, you can't tell me to stop doing something, because the moment that you tell me to stop doing something, I'm like the type of person that's like, now I have to. It just burns in me. I don't know why I am that way. Maybe I'm a bit of a jerk, but that's my own prerogative. It's nobody else's prerogative. So I get where you're coming at from with that. Let's take a look at the opposite side of the story, if we shall. I think people have gotten our perspective. So what's the other side saying? So I went on a hell gondola ride today looking at this stuff. And I've taken a look here. Student-led group planning province-wide school walkout over lifting of mask mandate. It says here, grade 11 student Derek Song is among organizers of the walkout and feels that the next few months could be disastrous if the Ontario government drops the mask mandate. So let's see what City News had to say. A student-led group will be holding a province-wide walkout on Monday, March 21st, to protest the Ontario government easing its mask mandates, which drops the same day. The walkout is organized by Ontario Students for COVID Safety, and the goal is to show support for masking while pushing for access to testing and reporting of COVID-19 data within schools. So here's the text, or a Twitter tweet, and it goes on to say, grade 11 student Derek Song among the organizers of the walkout and feels the next few months could be disastrous for the Ontario government, drops its mandate, and does not invest in HEPA filters, testing and COVID-19 reporting, which I think is filters for inside.
HEPA filters, they're like, it's
inside the school, so ventilation in the school.
They like remove 98% of dust particles and crap like that.
Yeah. Song also feels the majority of teachers are supportive of continuing to require masks in school, which we have seen a lot of union officials come out and say the same thing. And the Liberal Party of Ontario also jumped on that bandwagon with those unions, just so you know. Most of them support continuing to the mask mandate because they don't feel safe and they want more protection and they've seen the Ministry of Education not communicate with them. He told the Sam LaPrade show with guest host Derek Fage on Monday, March 11th. Song adds he will personally feel more comfortable with the mask mandate being lifted once more data supporting the decision is available. Overall, he feels the impacts of COVID-19 in school have been significant. All my students and friends have not learned a lot over virtual learning since you need social interaction from your teachers and your friends, and lots of clubs have been canceled because of COVID, he explained. You can listen to the full interview below. There's an 8-minute clip, but I don't think we'll bore you guys with that. So we've looked into this story. Rick went out to the local high school. Nobody was there. We looked at all over the place. I found one Toronto Star article that had a picture of 2 students. If you take a look at the Twitter feed for this group, there's no interaction on it whatsoever. This is the biggest failure of protest ever. So if you take a look there, I have the Twitter page up. So look at this. There's 54 comments on this, where it says, "Good morning, Ontario, and especially hashtag ONTTED, hashtag wear a mask, and join us in our day of action for safety in Ontario schools. Walk out at 11 a.m. And look at this. There's nothing here. And it's like, gee, I hope someone is covering this. Dr. Christine Gulpin. But this is supposed to be a province-wide thing, and this group is perpetuating that over 50 schools are supposed to participate in this. There's hardly... It didn't trend on Twitter. It didn't trend anywhere else. In fact, we just showed you that City TV article, and you could tell where the bias is. Now, Rick, if you were reporting on that story in the field back in your CTV days, don't you think you would have gotten a little bit more reactions from like other students or other individuals? It was very one-sided. They provided this kid with a bloody soapbox and let him go off.
Right.
And it didn't provide any context to the situation.
Because they don't provide balance anymore. It's all about taking a side and promoting a side and promoting an agenda. That's the problem with the media, and that's turned into propaganda. And if back in the days when I was a field reporter for television stations and CTV and doing print and radio, I would have always tried to provide balance and accuracy and cover all sides, not just both sides, but all sides of a story, because stories are not really just black and white. It's an effective way to tell a story by telling things in black and white terms, but there are shades of gray, even as you saw in those interviews that I did on the street today. People have a bunch of different reasons why they choose to do what they do, and I can totally understand that. So you're getting a variety of opinions. And here's another opinion from Miss Jensky. She says, sorry, at Rick Walker, but I have a real problem with anyone wearing a mask. They are filthy things. People handle them all the time. I won't be served in a shop by anyone wearing a mask. I get that too. Yeah. I understand. I also think that they're filthy things because people touch them. They put them in their pockets. They wear them for weeks on end. They don't change them out. They do get dirty. And that's why I think that they've made things worse in a lot of ways, because people don't dispose of them and put on a clean one. They keep using the same mask, and they even share them. I've seen people share masks.
I would go as far to say as probably several COVID variants have strained from like dirty masks. I grew up in a household where if you ever put your hat on the dinner table, you would get slapped. You're not allowed to do that. You want to know why? Because your hair is all gross and you walk around, you sweat in your hair all day. It's all dirty. You don't want to eat on the same table that you just put your dirty hat on.
Yeah.
You go to a restaurant, that's what you see. People take their mask off and put it on the table. It's like, that is filthy.
Yeah, well, they are.
They're
absolutely filthy. It's like blowing your nose and throwing the Kleenex around, right? Because it's the same germs. It's just through your breath. And the moisture in your breath accumulating in the mask, and they collect bacteria, and the bacteria breeds and multiplies in there. And further to what Ms. Jensky says, I do have a problem with people wearing masks in this regard. I wish when all of this had started, more people had been willing and eager to stand up for their freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Because it all started with these stupid masks. It all started with that. We might get in trouble here on YouTube for saying this stuff even now, even though the masks are gone and we don't have to wear them anymore. I don't know. But that's my opinion. And I'm not saying that's scientific but people didn't stand up. They didn't stand up soon enough. Politicians didn't stand up for us either.
No.
They all fell in line. All of them, all the way down the line. And that's why I have a problem with people wearing a mask. But I had that issue early on. Now that it's not compulsory, if people want to wear them, have at it, I guess. Who am I to tell someone else what to do? I'm not going to sit there and say, take that mask off. No, I'm not going to do that because that's their choice. And I don't want confrontation that way. The same way I never wanted them coming at me saying, put your mask on, right? You walk into a store or someplace, no, you know what, man, get off my back. You don't like it, you stay away from me. You're afraid, you stay home. Why does the whole world have to stay home to keep you safe?
Of course.
It doesn't make any damn sense. It's the most selfish thing ever. This whole we're all in it together thing? No, you expect everybody else to go get a thing in your arm and lock down at home and only go out to the stores when you need to. And when you do, you have to put a thing on your face, all because I'm supposed to keep you safe and I'm not sick.
Of course.
But they've scared everybody, and that's just all
well, they
there is
did.
to
And
it.
I have an example of it here pulled up in Facebook. So when I was scrolling social media, I found this. We're not going to show this person's name or anything, but I think it's important to kind of read. This is from their perspective, and I actually think it's really disgusting that they feel this is comparable, but we could read it and assess, or some of it. We'll read a little bit of it. It says, "Move over freedom protesters. It's the youth of Ontario who are protesting now via massive school walkouts." Well, that's not true.
Yeah.
What are they protesting for or against? For mask mandates. Yep. The youth are protesting against the removal of mask mandates. They're not dumb sheep. They're genuinely worried, and I don't blame them. People often argue and even vote for or against things based on the ideology. Think of the children. Well, many of these kids are aware what in nations or geographic regions that have dropped widespread mandates in the face of recent variants, cases have surged, and almost all of them would rather be able to continue their school year in class with their friends and peers. The kids have had so much disruption from that normal universal anchor of childhood daily life. And for the past 2 years, which feel like forever when you are young, since it's a much greater fraction or percentage of your whole lifespan, and what they have learned. Anyway, so it blah, blah, blah. It continues on like that, and it highlights this article that we just read. But I really felt that this was kind of important to look at, because this is the effect of the media on the people. This is the brainwashing at work, that this person feels that anybody who believes in their own bodily autonomy, which is your God-given right in Canada and in Ontario, and especially in America, this is insane that this mass formation psychosis it worked so well. This person is clearly not stupid. They're very elegant and they are able to write something up. They just don't see things the same way we do because they've been brainwashed by the media. Well, I guess that does kind of make them stupid, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That's insane. It's absolutely bananas. I can't believe that. Well, I can believe, but it's just very difficult to look at somebody from the opposite perspective. Say, oh, you guys are the sheep, and this is going to cause everybody to die. We're all screwed, and there's planning this massive walkout, and you're in big trouble now.
Yeah, I don't know where our guest went. Maybe he's not. Maybe he decided he doesn't want to come on. I don't know. He was supposed to be on about an hour ago, so I don't know. Brendan, I sent him a note here. Joseph Bourgault, Conservative Party of Canada leadership hopeful, supposed to join us at 6:15 tonight. It's now 7:03. No sign of Joseph.
Wait, is he in Saskatchewan?
Yeah, but he was told Eastern Standard Time. Maybe he'll come. Maybe he'll be on at 7:15. I don't know. Maybe there's some confusion. Sure hope he comes on. We'd really like to talk to him. Would really like to talk to him. I don't think the media really has been fair to him either, to be honest, at this point, because I noticed that even today there was attention given to two of these new CPC candidates running for the leadership. Who were they again? It was Mark Dalton and Scott Atchison, two new guys. And as I went through these stories, I didn't even see Joseph's name in the articles. And he declared his candidacy some time ago, like I think maybe a week ago or so.
Oh, I have it here. I'll be able to find it. Candidacy was announced on March 10th.
Yeah, so a little while ago. So he's been in the mix for a little longer than these guys who just jumped in today, and they're getting attention, and he's not getting much media splash at all. In fact, I don't think he's had any. Anyway, we've made our platform available to him tonight, and if he is able to sign on, that would be great. We'll find out what he's all about and maybe help him level the media playing field.
Yeah, it's 5:04 p.m. in Saskatchewan currently.
Is it 5:04? Yeah.
Yeah, if he's if there's a time difference slip here, then.
Yeah, I did speak with his campaign manager today, and it confirmed that it was Eastern time, 6:15 p.m. that he was supposed to sign on. Mm-hmm. But these things sometimes can get a little confusing. So we're on for a while. I just sent him a note, and maybe we'll still get him on at some point during the broadcast. Yeah. There he is. I can see him now, which is great. Aha. This is exciting. Let's get Joseph into the mix. I don't know if it's him, though. It doesn't look like him. Who do we have?
Hi. I know you're expecting Joseph right now.
Yeah.
This is Ryan Olson.
Hi there.
I'm his campaign chair. He said he's going to be here in about 5 minutes or so.
Okay, well, it's not really, we're on for a while, so it's not a big deal. Just wondering, I sent you a note in case there was a problem with the link or confusion over the time slot or whatever. But thank you for coming on and filling in a little bit for him before he shows up.
You're
and explaining
welcome.
What's going on. I appreciate that, because as I was saying, I don't think the media has really been giving him a fair shake.
No.
Because I saw two new guys jump into the race today, and they didn't even mention his name, which is wrong. You have to mention everybody to be fair. At least mention them, right? And they didn't do that. Not in the stories that I saw, anyway.
Yeah.
So
there's more contact happening, but I think over the course of the next week or so, obviously we don't have the same kind of background as a lot of the politicians would have, nor the same connections, right? And so, we're still working, and this week we're actually headed to Calgary, and we're meeting with more people who are more connected in those ways. And so I think that's really going to help get out into the media a little bit more. And we're also getting on the road a lot more as well. So we've just been trying to get all of the campaign organized, get the right people in the right places. And it's a pretty tight timeline as well. So, you're looking at trying to get signatures and set up for donations. We got our website and things up and running. So,
and running for the leadership of one of the biggest political parties in the country is no small thing. It takes a lot of organization and a lot of money and a lot of support, right? A lot of organization.
Yeah, and we're finding that we're getting that support. It's really grassroots support. It's kind of, the ones that we've been really, working with for the last 2 years, with Joe's, Canadians for Truth, Freedom and Justice, right? And so we have a lot of support that has been established through that. And then, we also had the opportunity to participate in Ottawa, and there's a lot of people that are there that are, supporting Joseph as well, because they know that he's trying to stand up for people's, freedom and working towards trying to make Canada a better place, to live. And there's just a lot, that Joe has to talk about, and he's got to get those messages out there. And so we do appreciate that you guys have us on here to talk through some of these things. So
our privilege, really. I'm excited to speak to him, especially anybody that wants to talk about freedom these days, because that's in short supply.
You bet. Yeah. And that's what we've been talking about in our offices here, for the last 2 years. And, we manage things a lot differently than most companies would. And so just a little bit of my background. I'm the general manager at Bourgault Tillage Tools as well as working. And I've spent, 14 years in energy and oil and gas industry in West Africa and Houston, Calgary. Been across Canada. I've been out in Eastern Canada and across, all the way from northern BC down through Manitoba. And so we've got to see a lot of what's happened over the last 5 years to our industries. And I'm also a farm boy from Saskatchewan. And so I've got a lot of experience with seeing how agriculture has been impacted as well. And I think it just got to a point where all of us are, wanting to ensure that our voice is getting out there as much as possible. And Joe has been, in the game here, as a manager and an owner for, close to 50 years. He's got a really strong business background. And I wanted to do anything I possibly could to help support him. And over the last 2 years, I've been general manager here. And that's really helped free up some of his time to get focused on trying to get some of these core topics and issues out and to connect people and also to help people, because there was a lot of Canadians that, they lost their rights or they didn't have a job after, some of the mandates and restrictions and things occurred. And they would come to people like Joe for help, because they'd find Canadians for Truth and they'd say, okay, there's some people who are like-minded here and maybe they can help me get connected with the right people. And really we were trying to connect dots. We'd been advocates of the Justice Center, for constitutional freedoms. We've supported them and what they're trying to do to stand up for people. And so really, I think, freedom is something that a lot of politicians are now talking about, but Joe's lived it for the last 2 years. And it's not even just, freedom. It's just restoring what the rights are of Canadians here in this country. So, and he's very passionate about that.
So I would think that a lot of his support right now has to be centered in Western Canada, in Alberta. Your strategy, though, will have to involve branching out and getting support even in Quebec, right?
Yeah.
So how will you do that as the campaign manager?
Well, I guess that's kind of the interesting thing is that, because of, because of the policies and principles that he's running on, there are a lot of people all across Canada that are looking for the same thing. And you could see that on the streets of Ottawa when the convoy was there. It wasn't just people from Alberta or Saskatchewan. There was a lot of people from Quebec and a lot of people from New Brunswick and Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. And we met a lot of these people that want to help us. And so, we do have, it's not just the campaign that's going to be focused on Western Canada. Joe's not someone that has ever been interested in just running, provincially. He cares about Canada in general. And that's everybody in Canada. That's, if you're in Ontario or Quebec, he cares about those Canadians just as much. And, what we saw there was there's a lot of people in Ontario and Quebec as well that they were more than happy to see some Saskatchewan people in their city fighting for freedom. So we know that there's lots of them out there that would support Joseph. And so we're really asking, if there's people, no matter where they're located, they can help volunteer and step up and be part of, helping in his campaign. And, we do have contacts pretty much in every province. So that's not really a concern of ours. And we have intentions of being in these locations as well when we go on the road to go and listen to the challenges that each of these areas are having, and be able to see how that fits into the vision that Joe's put together here.
It's probably good actually that you're coming on to speak to us before Joe comes on to talk to us, because you can kind of give us a little bit of his background, and then we can focus on what his platform is going to be and what he hopes to achieve. So can you tell me a little bit more about this Canadians for Truth?
Sure. So Canadians for Truth was founded, I think it was around 2 years ago. A lot of it was at the beginning of COVID. And we were seeing that there was a lot of information that wasn't being shared with Canadians, all the way from the beginning of the pandemic. And there was also a lot of censorship that was occurring, not just with, media, or social media, but we had lots of doctors and various people that were approaching us and saying that something is not right about the current situation. And they weren't able to get their stories across. We started seeing lots of people in the communities as well that were starting to question, what was happening and wanted more information. And Joe's always been a researcher. He doesn't just take it, from the CBC and say, okay, that must be true because it comes from mainstream media. He goes and tries to dig and tries to find what is the truth of the matter, and that you'll hear him talking about that. So he tries to get the angles from everywhere, and that's what we were doing with Canadians for Truth, is trying to find out what was the truth around this and get it out to Canadians, whether it was through brochures, trying to help people if they were, we knew that there was therapeutic options, in 2 years ago that could help people. And it was being suppressed, and it wasn't, people were not able to get treated. So we wanted to get this information in the hands of people in our community. So if they were to get COVID, that they wouldn't tie up the hospital, or they would make it through, right? Instead of just hearing, from a doctor, just go home, and if your face turns blue, then come on back in, right? That doesn't work as an approach for us. So we were trying to be much more proactive with it, and get out and communicate with people, and then hear their side as well, because a lot were feeling like their voices were being suppressed, and it's been like that for quite a long time. And then it just continued to get, more and more challenging and more concerning, as things like the vaccines were being rolled out, and then they were started to be mandated in different areas. And so we use this as an opportunity for us to just collect information and be able to share it with Canadians. Probably a lot what your guys' program would be as well. And then things took a bit of a twist and a turn when the trucker convoy started going out to Ottawa. And basically he you know, he had a pastor that said, "Hey, Joe, we're going." And so Joe was all of a sudden driving out to Ottawa with his fiance, his pastor, and one of our team that is really good with a video camera, and they started documenting it on the way out there. And then it just kind of snowballed from there. And I think when we came back from the convoy, we sat down and said, okay, what's next here, right? Because you know, it got to a point where obviously the government went and did the emergency order, and everyone kind of dispersed, or you know, they all kind of went on a different path. And so Joe and I were like, okay, what should be the next step? And we knew that there was a leadership position that was open, and we also heard Justin Trudeau say, you know, if you're going to want to make a difference democratically, then come run for office. And so that's what Joe's planning on doing. So,
challenge accepted.
And yeah, challenge accepted. And actually, I've got Joe here now, so I might pass him along to you guys. And I really appreciate the chance to have a conversation with you. I know you're expecting Joe when you turned on there, but you got me instead.
Ryan will do a better job than me anyways here. So.
Yeah, he's all right.
So,
I didn't think it looked like.
Thank you for having us on your show.
Oh, thank you for setting all this up, and best of luck to you, Ryan.
Thank you, Rick.
Okay,
Thanks, Ryan.
Take care.
Go ahead, Joe. Okay, thanks, Ryan.
And there we are.
Okay.
Hello, Joe. How are you?
I'm well, and yourself? So Rick is on the left of my screen.
Yes.
And Brendan. Okay, got you.
It's good to meet you, sir.
Yeah, it's a privilege to have you on the program tonight. We appreciate you taking the time.
It's my pleasure.
Yes. So we got a little bit of background on you from Ryan, so we can kind of jump into, I think, what your platform is, what you hope to achieve, and maybe explain why you decided to do this.
Yeah.
Well, the short answer is that you guys know the answer as well as I do. The country's headed in the wrong direction, and you know, we have to step up to stand up for truth and our core values and principles. And if we don't do it, we can't complain. So that's the short answer. The long answer is that, you know, I could say I've been working on this for 40 years. When Pierre Trudeau was in office, I saw that he was a tax and spend socialist, and that bothered me. And that's when I actually started to think someday I'd like to be prime minister. I had the illusion at the time that maybe I could get up to speed quickly enough to correct Pierre Trudeau, you know, and that was a dream, of course. So it was over many years. I've done a lot of research and writing and studying the best political leaders, both in modern day times and historic leaders. So and having been in executive leadership positions, I could see what was going on. What I felt the leaders did not have, you know, I don't want to judge them as human beings. I don't want to judge anybody for that matter, but I didn't feel like that they have the executive leadership skills, the experience, the even the ideas. I felt when you get young people that are too young into office and they don't have the life experience skills, haven't been through the crisis situations of life, I don't feel they're seasoned. And I continue to see that happening, young career politicians. And so I just feel like I'm capable of the job of being prime minister. And I feel like I have the ideas, and they're all in manuscripts and books I've written.
Okay.
So I have to ask. So your campaign manager has discussed that your big proponent for your campaign is going to be freedom. What's going to separate you from, let's say, Pierre Poilievre, who's also starting to, out of nowhere, start chanting freedom or putting that on his platform?
Well, no disrespect to Pierre. I have a lot of respect for him. You know, he's done a good job as an MP. But over the last 2 years, as Ryan likely mentioned to you, was instrumental in founding an organization called Canadians for Truth, Freedom and Justice. And we founded that organization. We started meeting in the summer of 2020. I had been involved because of my life experience, having recovered from a life-threatening illness, owning a health food store. I knew how to help people prevent and treat viral illnesses. And so friends of mine and Ryan and my daughter and others, we founded Canadians for Truth, Freedom, and Justice. And we've been standing up for truth, freedom, and justice for the past 2 years. So I've been in it. I was in Ottawa standing up for truth, freedom, and justice, helping to organize the truckers to help them to keep it legal and to work with the Ottawa police to make sure that everything was done in a way that the least amount disrupted the citizens of Ottawa. So I've been over the last 2 years, I've been in the trenches providing leadership and standing up for freedom.
What was your assessment of the way police handled it in the end?
Well, it all boils down to leadership, and the leadership of our country to declare war on peaceful protesters. It's the height of, find the words to describe it. It was outrageous. I listened to that speech from Trudeau, and it was, how do you know when Justin is lying? When his lips move. What he was saying about the peaceful protesters there, it was just outrageously one lie after the other. And so, totally dishonest. And, he was being damaged politically by the peaceful protesters. And so he had to stop them, and he had no other, he had to resort to War Measures Act to stop peaceful people.
So are there other aspects to your platform aside from, this message of freedom and restoration of charter rights?
Those are big, because without truth, freedom, without truth, you don't have justice. Without justice, you don't have freedom. You have tyranny. And so we're looking right now across the country. Way too many politicians are not recognizing our God-given rights and freedoms. They don't have a right. I want Canadians to understand that your freedoms, your free will was given to you by your creator, not by government. So don't let them take away your rights and freedoms. So that's really important. But I have a very comprehensive platform. 3 years ago, I started working on another book titled The Way of Truth, The Best Ways to Eliminate Poverty, Sickness and Disease, Depression, Suicides, Crime, and How to Create a Healthy and Happy and Prosperous Society. There's 52 chapters in the book because I like to play with a full deck of cards. And it explains the policies based on the scientific facts, based on the truth of how we can organize our governments and our systems of governance to create a healthy, happy, and prosperous society. That's the vision. The policies that I would, the core values and principles that I want to uphold, again, the Charter Rights and Freedoms, whereas Canada was founded upon principles that recognize the supremacy of God and the rule of law. So the core values and principles are all about the pursuit of truth to solve problems, freedom and personal responsibility, and justice. But the policies are based on these core values and principles to achieve the vision. And the policies are, mandates have to go because they're forced. It's like extortion. They're violating our laws, not only our charter, but the Criminal Code of Canada, 3461 in the Criminal Code, extortion. It's criminal behavior right now. I want to get rid of the carbon taxes because natural gas is essential for Canadians. Fuel to fuel our vehicles to get to and from work and to run our transportation industry. Right now, the carbon taxes are bankrupting our truckers. It's driving jobs offshore. And when you think about that, the reason and logic behind that, Canada produces 1.5% of the CO2 emissions. China produces 27% of the CO2 emissions. We have way tougher standards on our electrical fuel generation power plants than China does. 9% of our electricity is coal-fired. Over 60% of China's is coal-fired, way dirtier. So when you they have no carbon taxes. So when you have carbon taxes here in Canada, you're essentially driving jobs to China, where they're producing far greater amounts of pollution than we are. Deductive reasoning and logic, as Galileo said it, I doubt very much that our Creator gave us sense and reason and doesn't expect us to use it.
How do you feel? I'm sorry, go ahead, Brendan.
Interestingly enough, you mentioned just a side point with the China coal plant. The coal is purchased from North Korea, so it's a double whammy. Things are pretty hot on the international stage right now. How would you anticipate do you have any ideas on how we might be able to cool those down?
Well, whether it's in your own country or, the pursuit of truth is really important to understand both sides. When there's a conflict like that, it's really important that Canada understands. As Prime Minister, I would want to totally understand the position of Vladimir Putin and the Ukrainian Zelensky as well, in the Ukrainian government. I think you have to set the goal of truth and make sure this isn't black and white. It is in a sense that it's wrong. You could say it's wrong for any country to invade another country. And I'm not in favor of Russia invading Ukraine. But I understand some of the history of it there. And what Vladimir Putin wanted is he wanted Ukraine to remain a neutral country right on the border of the Soviet Union. And so I can understand that. I totally get that. And yet the West, the United States, and we're trying to pull Ukraine into NATO. And why would we do something like that? It's like we're fueling war there. We're forcing Putin's hand. So to me, that was a huge error on the part of the NATO countries, especially the United States or Canada. Anybody trying to pull the Ukraine into the NATO alliance, you're prodding a guy that knows how to defend his country.
Yeah, amen.
Amen to that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Which the media is not sharing with the public here at all.
You're right, Rick. The media is not being truthful. Thank God for you guys, the people the honest truth seekers in the media.
Yes. So is it fair to say that you're trying to put a little more conservatism into the Conservative Party?
Yeah. How about the word truth? I think, I say I'm honest, truth-seeking, principled, fiscally and socially responsible conservative. I've read through the Conservative Party policy declarations, and I'm generally in agreement. I've never had trouble identifying as a conservative. I've voted conservative all my life, but I think more than being a right wing, I wouldn't classify myself as a right wing conservative. I notice when planes are in the sky or birds, they fly using their left and right wings. There's truth in aerodynamics, and for a country to fly, it's essential that we all become honest truth seekers and listen to one another to gather the facts, to discern the truth. And whatever's true, if an NDP is making sense or a Liberal, although that's sometimes rare, it's important that we discern the facts and the truth about every issue. And whenever somebody is making sense, it's important that we go there. We shouldn't let our partisanships blind us or make us closed-minded. We should always keep an open mind. We should always be in pursuit of truth, because really we're all there to serve all of the Canadian people, and we want what's best for all the Canadian people. And really we have to work together, as much as possible.
It sounds to me like you probably share the same level of concern then over this censorship bill that is before Parliament, especially if truth is the goal. You don't get there through censorship.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct, Rick. I would be 100% against that. The way I would view it, any policies so that Canadians don't get discouraged, overly discouraged or depressed by the, well, let's use the word woke legislation. We're going to, as Prime Minister, I would be reviewing all legislation, and any legislation that doesn't align with the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, doesn't align with the Criminal Code of Canada or the Canadian Bill of Rights, doesn't align with our fundamental core values and principles, we would review that legislation, and anything that is out of alignment, we would legislate corrections or get rid of legislation that's crazy,
Now, I really liked what you had to say there about the truth in aerodynamics, and this is something I've been saying for a really long time, that it takes left and right side to make democratic politics. Now, the media really hates anything right-leaning, and the left hates everything right-leaning. So, I mean, Canada right now is a bird with a broken wing at this point in time. What are some ways that we could fix this?
Well, truth is really important. Like in my core values and principles as a human being, I value my relationship with God above all things. I don't value power or money or fame above my relationship with God. And so I see it, number one value is God, then love, and love means respect as well. We should have respect, even, if somebody's NDP or Liberal, as much as possible, we can disagree on things, but we should be respectful as much as possible. So let me tell you, I talk to myself at times because I get upset with things that are being done at times that are outrageous, but we need to call it for what it is and remain respectful. So love is my second highest value. Then the pursuit of truth. I want love to govern my truth because I want to be as loving and respectful when I speak the truth. Freedom and personal responsibility would be my fourth highest value, and justice and fairness would be my fifth highest value. So I think that if we govern our country in a way that, acknowledging that God is our creator and creator of all the laws that govern our existence, I think God wants us to be respectful of one another, and to be truthful, honest and truthful, and to try to based on the truth, find win-win solutions that will help to unify our country. It's not about I'm superior to no one and inferior to no one. I don't think myself as superior to any other human being. It's all about finding the truth, finding win-win solutions, and that will act and work to unify the country. It doesn't matter what part of the country you live in.
Some people in the comments here are asking if you've ever been a member of the World Economic Forum, but I can tell right now that you haven't been.
No, and I have zero interest. They can offer me the world. I value my relationship with God above money, any type of, association with wealthy people. That just is not going to turn my crank. It's doing God's will and serving the people of Canada.
Are you bilingual?
I am. I've got to get my French up to speed. Je peux parler français, mais faut que je cherche pour des mots des fois quand je parle le français.
I don't speak French.
I have to look for words sometimes when I'm speaking French.
Well, you're proficient. I mix my Spanish and my French up, which is not good. I hope we haven't lost Joe because he's frozen there. There he is.
He's back.
Yeah, he's back.
Okay. So
you still here?
Do you want?
No, you're good.
So a lot of people had.
Looks like he thinks he's off.
Okay.
He's still there?
He's on. Hello.
Okay. Yeah, still there.
All right, perfect. So a lot of people have buyer's remorse with the Aaron O'Toole days, and thank goodness he's gone. That's my opinion, not yours. That you don't have to talk about that. But what type of assurances can you give people that
he's gone, Brendan?
He's gone.
He's gone.
Ooh.
I don't know if he'll be coming back or not. If he does come back, that's great. If not, that's okay too. It was a
Joseph
privilege.
Bourgault, everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of froze up there at the end.
Yeah,
No,
I
he's
know.
coming back. Here he is. He's back.
Oh,
Yeah.
There we
My
go.
apologies.
That's
I'm
okay.
using Ryan's phone here, and one of our family members tried to get a hold of him here. So.
Oh, I see. Call came in.
no
Go ahead,
problem.
Brendan. Ask your question.
I was going to ask you, a lot of people had buyer's remorse with Aaron O'Toole, and I mean, you don't really have to comment on Aaron O'Toole, but what type of promises or what can you say to people that will give them better faith in you, that you're not going to like reverse on policies that were deadly important to the conservative side?
Yeah, well, all I can tell you is anybody that knows me, I'm a principled guy, and my word is my bond. I've lived my life that way. If I tell you, I mean, there's things obviously in the Conservative Party when you run for the leadership. I'm going through the process of filling in my application. I've read through the policy declarations, and there's things where, I understand where the party's at, and I'm going to sign it because for the most part, I'm high 90s in agreement. I love conservative logic for the most part, but there are things that I would like to see change. And I'm going to run on. I'm going to explain what I want to run on, and I'm hoping to convince the Conservative Party members, because I can prove everything that I'm running on. I can prove factually, truthfully, based on the science and based on factual information, that I'm taking positions that are going to improve the lives of all Canadians, help Canadians to be healthier, happier, and more prosperous. And I think that's what the Conservative Party stands for.
That does beg the question. What is that couple of percentage point that you disagree with? If you could provide an example, that'd be awesome.
Well, the one that I struggle with, I'll use that word that I struggle with. I'm pro-life, have been all my life. I've been a member of Campaign Life Coalition since 1996. And I want to create a pro-life culture. And I feel to create a pro-life culture, what's essential is that we reform the tax system. I think what's causing people to abort children, babies, is because they can't afford it. I think finances is driving abortion. And so I want to reform the tax system so that Canadians can afford to live above the true poverty line, which is like profitability. We don't tax a business before it's profitable. Why would we tax our citizens before they're profitable? And so I want to raise the basic deduction from $12,000 to $50,000. And I would work with the premiers to do the same, because that's the true poverty line in this country. And so when we tax people when they're living below the poverty line, we're taking away their ability to afford to have children. We're taking away their ability to afford a healthy, true health care, a healthy diet and lifestyle. So we're systemically driving people to abort children. We're systemically driving people into the medical care system. And that's why we're spending $270 billion a year on medical care. It's crazy what we're doing.
Yeah. What about other parties like the PPC? Do you see them just kind of splitting votes off? Would you like to try to reunite Conservatives? What's your view on that?
Yeah, I think that I see Ryan looking at me smiling. We've discussed this. I think that the PPC, a lot of PPC will agree with what I would like to see, So yeah, would I have a problem with if the Maxime Bernier and other PPC members were interested in reuniting with the Conservative Party? I would be willing to listen to their positions, and if we're close enough, I would be very open-minded, setting the goal of truth, gathering the facts to see if we can rebuild that bridge so we stop any vote splitting that would keep the Liberal NDP coalition in power.
Interesting point there too, because we had the question about O'Toole and then that question, and I would definitely say the surge of the PPC It's a love it or hate it party, whatever you so prefer to say. I would say O'Toole definitely was a big part of the surge of that with the PPC and how
I
things
think
changed.
what was going on, like I want to be as respectful as I can be.
Of course.
I don't feel that O'Toole had the ideas of how to, I'm not sure where his loyalties were at times as well. My loyalties are 100% to the Canadian people. I want Canada to remain a sovereign country, and there are no international globalists, technocrats, or organizations that are going to tell me what to do, what's right for the Canadian people. My masters will be the Canadian people. I want to provide servant leadership, listening to the Canadian people to address their needs and concern and to defend our sovereignty as a country. So I don't know, Aaron didn't do a real good job of explaining himself on that. I think I'll do a much better job. You can ask me any question, I will answer. And you can do any amount of research on me. I'm not loyal to any corporation, even Bourgault Tillage Tools, the company I'm CEO of. I'll gladly step away from this role and 100% serve the Canadian people.
Well, everything I've been hearing so far has been a breath of fresh air.
Mm-hmm.
But I can tell you that our viewers here, most of the people that I associate with, are having a very hard time trusting the Conservative Party. I guess that must be a major part of your thrust, right? Is to try to rebuild that trust so that people would be willing to vote for you again. I mean, even with Pierre Poilievre, I sit back and I like a lot of what he says, but then I sit there and I think, yeah, but where the heck have you been for the past 2 years?
Yeah, well, I've been on boots on the ground the last 2 years, and the more you learn about my history, I've stood up. I've been involved in a number of, I've sued governments. I sued the federal provincial government. I was involved in suing the federal provincial governments when they were in violation of their own laws. To me, it's all about honesty, integrity, the pursuit of truth, and gathering like-minded, honest, truth-seeking Canadian citizens. I would want to be bringing in, my search for people that would want to work for my administration as Prime Minister would be honest, truth-seeking people that are principled and will stand up for what is right and good and true for our country. People that are where corporations or globalist organizations have their hands in their pockets, they probably will not get along real well with me.
Yeah. Well, you see these comments, people are even saying, negative things about Pierre, even here, a few positive ones, but there is a trust issue here, right? So Raylex says Pierre would be good for the economy, but a lot of people are here saying they'd be happy to vote for you too. Mm-hmm. So we're hearing things from you that a lot of people have been wanting to hear from a Conservative for quite a long time.
My hats, we're working on the logos right now. And one of them is, I like it, a common sense leader.
Well, we've heard that slogan used with, Conservative campaigns in Canada many times in the past, provincially and federally. But I guess it really does come down to common sense, right?
Yeah, a lot of it is, it's not rocket science, the principles are really what I've learned in business over the years. If you treat your customers with honesty and integrity, and if there's a problem, you search for the truth. What caused the problem? Just ask farmers that have dealt with my company over the years, what kind of how I treated them. And that's kind of the way I view it, maybe a little bit, as the Prime Minister is there to serve the customer, the voter, the Canadian citizens, and with honesty and integrity. And when you do that, I realize I will have to earn the trust of Canadians. And the Conservative Party, obviously, like you're saying, Rick, I appreciate your insights on this. I've never heard it put that way. It's earning the trust of Canadians. If Conservatives have lost their trust, then that will definitely be part of our job, is to rebuild the trust with Canadians. And I know no other way to do that than to always tell the truth, what you know and what you don't know. There's lots of things, lots of legislation that I'm not a master at. And so I would be wanting to hire people, have honest, truth-seeking people around me that were able to get to the truth of the matter to solve problems. So, yeah. Yeah, earning trust. The only way I can see you can do that is to be a completely honest person. And when you don't know, you don't know, and you do your homework to get to the truth of the matter.
The other issue I think you're going to face is that within the Conservative Party, you're facing a very strong progressive bloc. And I'm wondering how you will overcome that. And the other issue that is related to that is the media and getting your name out there and having people actually look at your policies so that within the party, you get your message out. And, that being said, I think all these other candidates are extremely vulnerable because of the trust issue, but you have to cut through that progressive bloc. And I see the Conservatives as being a party that has been infiltrated by Liberals. It's been so I don't know how you take your message and turn that into the leadership. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that, or what your strategy is going to be.
Well, one thing where progressives in the Conservative Party might be is on, for example, environmental issues. That might be one example. And I'm a guy, here I am, I'm an entrepreneur, businessman all my life. And I went through a life-threatening illness, and it took me a decade or more to recover from that. So, I've been eating, to the environmentalist conservatives, I've been eating 100% organic food diet, or 99 to 100% organic food diet since 1992. And so I'm all for, and I support environmental organizations. I've supported Greenpeace, Eco-Justice, not everything they do, but I think we have to preserve and protect our natural environment for the benefit current generation and for future generations. So, but I don't feel we have to destroy our economy, our energy sector, in order to have a clean and healthy and safe environment. So that would be one example on the progressives. I think I'm very capable of building bridges. I've done it all my life, and the bridges are built based on truth and principles and facts, truth and science. So, it's like a plane again, left and right wing, a fuselage. There's nothing is black and white. And so I think that there are always ways, listening to people, whether it's progressive conservatives, even liberals. I've spoken to many liberals over my lifetime, and NDP people, and I'm capable of listening to people and discerning what's true in what they're saying, and then adopting that as part of my thinking. And so I'm hoping that.
Go ahead. Didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, Rick, can you give me another example of what you would mean by progressives?
Well, it's left wing, woke, identity politics, and the media is all in on that, of course, right? So if you are a conservative, as I think you generally are, the media they're not going to give you a fair shake. They're not going to mention you in these articles today. They pick the people these days that they want to support. You have an uphill battle. That's the truth of the matter, especially within the media. They've got Charest, they've got Polyev, and I think he's about as conservative as they're willing to tolerate. And even there, they'll try to assassinate him or character assassinate him at some point, because I'm sure they don't really want him. You've got a, like me, you've got a big target on you. So, I wish you luck. But those are challenges that I don't know how you overcome within that party, which is why I think Maxime left and created the PPC, because he couldn't stay true to his values and find and compromise to the level that he needed to in order to secure the leadership of the party.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. And, you're making a really good point there, Rick, with that. But all we can do is run our race, do our best to be honest. Again, I believe in God as well, and I think our Creator wants us to wants us to run our country in a way that is in alignment with the principles that He created to govern our existence. And I'm not speaking of religion here. I'm talking more of God as our Creator. We have laws, the sciences, biology, physics, chemistry. If we really seek the truth in the sciences and we live according to those scientific principles, we will be healthy, happy, and prosperous. And so I'm just going to do my best to run my race, run our race in that way, in an honest way, and hope that millions of Canadians see that I would be, hope and pray that they would see me as the best choice for Prime Minister.
When I was working for CTV, I always had to remain neutral, but around here I don't have to.
Yeah.
So maybe if you don't mind, maybe I could be so bold as to say this. I think your solution is to get as many people to sign up for memberships as you possibly can to support you in your leadership bid, because the other side, the progressive side, they're very good at recruiting people and stacking the deck by having people buy memberships so that they get their policies and their ideas installed as part of the party platform, right? I think you need to get every darn trucker across the country to sign up for a membership before the deadline, and every other Canadian that supports your kind of thinking as well. That would to me be the solution.
Yeah, those
to that issue. Very
good insights, Rick. And I, as you know, I was in Ottawa with the truckers, supporting them in every way I could. So we're connected with them, and I'm proud of what they accomplished for our country, and we're saluting them wherever I go. I'm not in any way, shape, or form ashamed to be associated with them. They did the right thing for our country, and they're heroes. Those people are heroes.
Yeah, go ahead,
Rick touched on the media, and I hope this wasn't asked in my absence there, but the CBC, I don't like them too much. What is your plan for them?
Well, actually, I have a good idea that I've ran past quite a few people. I mean, I obviously the Conservative Party would have to agree to the idea, so I'm just floating it at this point. I would like to see us privatize the CBC, and what we would do, because the Canadian people already own the CBC, we would give every Canadian citizen a share, an ownership share in the CBC, and then we would pass legislation that no one Canadian could own more than 1% of the CBC. So we don't have anybody controlling it. And we set up a vision, mission, core values, and principles statement. The essence of it would be, your job is to pursue the truth honestly, objectively, and respectfully in a professional way, so that Canadians, you can report the truth and the facts to Canadians so they can make informed decisions. And so that would be my idea, to privatize it, so that, because I can see what's happened over the years. The Liberals are always promising, the Conservatives get in there and try to be fiscally prudent, and they create some space to be able to borrow. And then the Liberals promise everybody everything with your own tax dollars, and they borrow the hell out of everything. And they say to the CBC that we're gonna increase your funding by 50%. Well, who do you think the CBC is going to promote? right? So we have to stop subsidizing media. And so to me, the only way we can do it is get the CBC in private. I want Canadians to own the CBC, literally be shareholders. And then they would elect the board of directors that would hire the management. And so Canadians could fire people. If the CBC wasn't running as a profitable organization, then the voters, the owners, could fire them, get rid of the directors or whatever. We need to create objective, honest, truth-seeking, objective media. We cannot have government funding media like Trudeau did. That is criminal behavior. That is, it doesn't I don't know, I forget what the words would be to describe that. It's just terrible, unethical. It's terribly unethical behavior.
I like the criminal behavior label you just gave it. That's pretty good for me. I like that.
So this government, Liberal NDP coalition, there's criminal behavior in there.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people say that there was no election fraud in the last election, and I will agree with that to the point where it wasn't. All the ballots are probably true. Give or take some funny things that happened with the mail-in ballots, but it is definitely not a fair election when the media has been bought. We even had new blackface photos the day before the final vote day, and it did nothing to him. That speaks volumes to how effective the media was in this past election.
Yeah, Brandon, I agree with you. It is a real problem, not just the mainstream media, CBC, CTV, Global, but also the social media, Facebook, Twitter. We're seeing a lot of corruption there as well, a lot of bias. And so, yeah, we've got our work cut out for us to, it's a real challenge. So I appreciate what you guys are doing here. Maverick Multimedia, we need more of this type of independent, honest, truth-seeking media.
Well, appreciate that. I thought I was sort of going to be in semi-retirement, but with everything that's been going on, I'm back. So
I dragged him out.
Yeah.
Right on.
Somebody's got to provide a counterbalance because there's more than one way to stack the deck for an election. And, that's exactly what Justin Trudeau has done by financing the media. It might be legal, but it's not ethical. And he's controlling the information flow now. But it goes beyond that. And we won't get into too much of that tonight, but he knows how to control things by controlling the flow of grants and money and so on to the media and corporations, and it goes on right down the line. What's the timeline for you now? You don't have a lot of time to get people signed up. What's the deadline for people to buy a membership if they want to support you, and how can they go about supporting you?
Okay, well, thank you for that question, Rick. If you're not a Conservative Party member currently and you support the policies that the core values and principles, the vision, core values and principles, and the policies that I'm promoting, go to josephbourgault.ca, and under support at the top, there's a bar, and you can see the word support. And there you can purchase a Conservative Party membership. But if you want to nominate me, that's my challenge right now, to get a minimum of 550 to 600 nomination supporters. So people would have to go before April 1st. You have to purchase a Conservative Party membership. It's $15. And if you go to my website there, josephbourgault.ca, under the top line and go to the far right support, that'll take you to the Conservative Party membership, which is www.conservative.ca. You can buy membership. You can immediately, there's an Adobe file, a document. You can immediately put your name on there and sign it and send it in. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Rick.
Yeah. So which page do I need to bring up to show people?
Okay, so if you go to where it says support, click on support. So support Joseph. You can see the instructions are there, and that, that red tab, the signature document, you can click on that. And that opens up to a document that you can put your name and address, your email address, and you sign it. And then you can scan it and email it to us at info at which one? Info at Canadiansfortruth.net. And that goes into our file. And if you purchase your Conservative membership before April 1st, that will be activated by, April 22nd, 23rd then, or 21 days from the time you buy your membership, the document, the nomination petition is then activated. We'll be sending them in at the end of April, sometime around the 25th of April.
Okay. And when is the leadership convention?
The leadership convention, it's September 10th is when it's going to be nominated. The actual convention date, I can't say when the actual convention date is. I would guess it would be sometime in early September.
That's what I've heard. I'll get the actual date.
Yeah, and then let me know, Brendan. We've been so busy with so many things, putting in long days trying to get this all organized. So it's there's no shortage of tasks.
But the critical time period for you, I would think, especially, is right now to get people signed up with those memberships. And that means, like I said, I would think, right, truckers, people who supported the freedom movement, all of that. And to join the Conservative Party, you can be a member of another party and still join the Conservatives. Is that not correct?
Yeah, that's my understanding. That's correct. Yeah.
So if you want a voice, if you want to have some influence over the direction the Conservative Party is taking, if you want to support Joseph, then that's how you do it. And that's a pretty simple thing to do. $15. I guess if you really don't like the Conservative Party and you don't want to give them $15, then you don't want to go there, but you're not going to support Joseph in that case anyway. But if you are of that mindset and you believe in what he's saying, even if you're a PPC member or NDP member, it doesn't matter. Whatever party you might be a part of, you can still go there, and for $15, you get to vote and you get to have a say and in what direction the Conservative Party might be taking. And even during the process, right, you get to express your views and influence the other candidates, and in the process bring these issues forward. And that in itself is valuable, wouldn't you say?
Well, yeah, you're absolutely correct, Rick. Agree with you. To sit on your hands and do nothing while your country burns is really not an excuse. Our children and grandchildren and future generations depend on us to get off our rear, and whoever's closest to the truth in your mind, support that person. And also, if you can financially afford it, $20 or $50 or $100 or $500 or $1,000. The maximum amount people can donate is $1,675. That's the maximum contribution limit of any Canadian. I have to raise $300,000 in those types of contributions by that same date to be able to qualify. Those are the fees I have to submit. I'm donating $25,000, which is the maximum amount that I can donate to my campaign. I will be donating the maximum amount. So, So I appreciate any help in nomination, in signing the nomination petition and/or donations. I can't change the country for the better without your support.
Yeah, and that's no small feat.
No.
That's a sizable amount of money, and you're up against some deep pockets on the other side too. So where do you find that kind of financial support? Will you be finding it mostly from individuals or business people, or what do you think?
Businesses cannot donate to our campaign. It's only Canadian citizens can vote. No corporation can donate, and so my company's not involved at all in that way. Cannot donate any cash to the organization. It's got to come out of my personal savings, which it will. And so I'm appealing to all Canadians who love truth and freedom and justice and would support the policies that I'm standing for, to please go to my website, purchase a Conservative Party membership, sign the petition and get it into us, and donate what you can to my campaign as well. You can do an e-transfer there. And so I really appreciate the support, and with your help and support, we'll be able to get our country back on the right track again.
Okay. Is there anything else? Just go ahead, Brendan.
Election date is September 10th of 2022.
Yes.
So everybody knows. So that's the day that you get to vote, but you have to get your membership now if you want to get involved. This is what we've been telling you guys all about since we've started this show. If you want to make a difference, get involved politically. If you are not interested in this, and volunteer and sign up to help some other way. There's lots of ways that you can help. You can help people pass out signs. You can help people make flyers. Like, the list of jobs you can do is endless. And it's not just even for ours or Joseph's cause. If you feel strongly about something else, then get involved in that. As long as it's legitimate and we keep these non-government organizations out of everybody's hair, we're going to make a real difference here.
So what do you need to have happen across the country? Do you need like team leaders in different provinces, or what do you need?
What I can do is I can, under the rules of the Conservative Party, I can appoint or leadership campaign agents across the country. As many, there's no limit on it. So people who support my vision, our vision, I want to make that clear too. I'm building a team of people. It's not just going to be me. People like Ryan here, who you've spoken to, honest, truth-seeking people, principled people from across the country. I want a team of people to get our country back on the right track. It won't be me alone, but we do need team leaders, if you will, leadership campaign agents all across the country, from all across the country. We have some. Starting in BC, Dr. Bill Code is one of our leadership campaign leaders. In Saskatchewan, in our team, we have our team of people. In Manitoba, we have Stephanie Petuli, who was a trucker in Ottawa. We have Jeff Boivin, leadership campaign leaders. So if you want to know in your province who might be leaders, and we're looking for more, like you could have a dozen leaders in various parts of every province throughout the country. So we're talking to people like Dana Metcalf and I hope Dana will forgive me, but I've been speaking with Dana Metcalf in Newfoundland, and Leanne Carter in New Brunswick, Martin Broadman in Nova Scotia. So we have in Alberta, I'm talking to some people there as well that are interested in being leadership campaign agents. So if somebody's got an interest and feels they can organize rallies and have connections to people, like-minded, honest, truth-seeking people that would be interested in my candidacy as the leader of the Conservative Party, by all means, get in touch with us. Our email address there is info@canadiansfortruth.ca. We have a number that they could reach us, 306-275-2271, 306-275-2271. 2271 as well.
Can you just
that's
give me
a
that
direct
number
line
again
to
and I'll
my
put that up?
office.
Just
Yeah.
give me that number one more time and I'll put it up on the screen.
Okay, 306 275 2271. And that's a direct line, to my office. And I'm often on the phone or busy in meetings and that sort of thing. So, but if you leave a message, the only thing I would say to people, make sure if you leave your name and number, be crisp and clear and repeat your number twice. Make sure it's like 275 2271. I get people leaving messages and I don't know their name or number. It's not clear,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an etiquette I think that's good. That's gone in the past. It's always good etiquette to repeat your phone number twice.
Yes.
Well, it sounds like you already have a lot of organization in place and quite a bit of support. And the people that I spoke to who led me to you had high praise for you. And these are good people. So I find that very encouraging. And as I say, everything you've said tonight, it has been a breath of fresh air to me. So I welcome you to the race, and I'm encouraged by what I'm hearing.
Thank you, Rick, and really appreciate your words there. Thank you.
Yeah, is there anything else, Joe, that you'd like to add or think that we might be missing? Anything you want to say to folks?
Well, Canadians, it's up to us to stand up for our country, for our children and grandchildren, and honesty and integrity, principles of justice and freedom and personal responsibility, fairness. These are the ways we're going to get our country back on the right track. Working together as Team Canada, we can do it. We can get our country back on the right track, but I can't do it without your help.
Yeah, and we have seen a lot of effort to divide Canadians from our Prime Minister. A lot of very divisive things have come out of his mouth over the last couple of years. I'm saddened by that.
Yeah. Well, I always kid people, we all have a noose around our neck, and by our words and our actions, we're either tightening or loosening the noose. He's got it pretty tight around his neck.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Words of wisdom.
Yeah. Anything from you, Brendan, before we kind of wrap up here with Joe?
No, that about wraps up everything that I kind of wanted to ask. It's been a very insightful interview, and I really appreciate your time and coming on and talking with me and Rick. It's been amazing.
Yeah, anytime you guys, if you ever have any questions for me, I'll always do my best to be honest. I won't always know the answers, but I'll always do my best to get the answers if I don't have them.
Appreciate that very much, Joe. I see a lot of positive comments tonight, too, from the viewers. So I think they're encouraged by what you're saying as well. And it's not an easy thing to run for the leadership of the Conservative Party in Canada. That's a big mountain to climb for anyone. Mm-hmm. But as I say, I think all those other candidates are vulnerable, every single one of them. And you might just be the man to take them on and surprise everybody.
Well,
so,
Rick, one of my heroes was Abraham Lincoln. I studied Abraham Lincoln's teachings a lot. His life. I read a lot of books on Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln, one of the quotes I love about him, he said, "Stand with any man or woman when they stand right, and apart from them when they're wrong." And so, if you liked Honest Abe Lincoln, I hope that would be the greatest honor to be named Honest Joe Bourgault.
Okay. All right. And with that, we'll sign off for now. But I hope we can check back in with you from time to time as your leadership bid unfolds, because it's been an absolute pleasure and a privilege to have you on tonight.
Well, thank you guys very much. It's my pleasure, my honor and pleasure to be with you guys as well. So if you know how to get in touch with us. So anytime.
Okay. I appreciate that. We'll take you up on that. And the platform is always yours if you want to come back on to explore issues as well. So you can always reach out to us on this side too.
Yeah, very grateful for that. Very grateful.
That's what we're here for. Trying to get people closer to the truth, which is one of the slogans we use. So it's right in alignment with what you've been saying.
Right on.
Appreciate it very much.
Yeah. Okay. God bless you guys, and God bless Canada.
And God bless you as well. Thank you, Joe. You have a great evening.
Thank you, sir. Have a great day.
Take care. Bye for now.
Nice meeting you guys. Thank you.
Take care. Joseph Bourgault, Conservative Party of Canada leadership candidate. And yeah, Brendan, I have to say, I don't think there was a single thing in there that I disagreed with. I can't think of anything.
I got one thing.
Okay.
I don't agree with the CBC policy. I think.
Okay. Well,
I think we should just get rid of that. That's just my opinion. He seems to be testing it out. It's just a friendly disagreement, I would call it, more than anything. The amount of complexity of turning every citizen into a part owner of the CBC seems. It's not worth saving. It's too corrupt. Get rid of it. Goodbye. It's all gone. Like I said, just my opinion. So.
Well, I have issues with the CBC as well, as you know. Right? Big issues with the CBC. I don't know that I disagree with what his approach is on it or not. I guess I'd need to see more details on it. I would say I didn't disagree with what he said on that front. We definitely need some serious change over there.
There is some serious change that is needed. I mean, don't get me wrong. I listen to the CBC because I like to kind of. If you're gonna find out what the narrative on something is, you're gonna get it from them. It's not that I believe anything they say, and a lot of people tell me, it's like, oh, I can't listen to that. That's garbage. It's like, well, you have to learn this stuff, and you have to figure out what they're saying. And to be honest, I do spend most of my time just screaming at it, but that's just me.
Yeah, well, I've told you, I want to throw things at the screen every time I turn the TV on these days. I try not to watch much television at all, whether it's CBC, CTV, ABC, NBC, MSNBC, WXYZ, whatever. I try and stay away from it, as you know. But I liked what he had to say. I really did. I think he's a very strong candidate in that way. He's got good ideas, good morals. And at a time when the country has no moral compass,
and he understands democracy. He understands democracy. That part what he said about democracy is a bird with a left wing and a right wing. It's like, dude, I've been saying that for so long now, and that we do have to work on tolerance with the other side. But I have a feeling that much like the pro-maskers, the left wing is not interested in having a two-sided discussion on anything.
Well, I'll tell you this, just from what my impression from what he said, I already have a feeling of trust with him.
Yes.
Which is, I don't have much trust with any of the other people who have declared so far.
No.
Even Pierre Poilievre, like I said, I like a lot of what he says, but then I'm like, yeah, but what about the last 2 years? And then even with the truckers, he seemed to come out, but and said some favorable things. He stood on that overpass. He made that video sort of in support of the truckers, but then he said some other things that seemed a little wishy-washy later with regard to the truckers. So it was like, I don't know, like this guy.
Pierre is the master of optics. That's the problem, though, is there's no depth. He's a mile long and a centimeter deep. I don't understand where he's going to turn any which day. He has hinted at his support for the freedom movement in one way or another over the past 2 years, but I don't think that's strong enough to kind of give way to how he would behave as the prime minister. Or even the leader of the opposition. Is he going to be a true leader of the opposition, or is it going to be more of the same?
Well, I hope that the Conservative Party, I don't know. I hope that we don't have another Liberal or ND, and I hope we don't have an NDP government. So we'll see what happens on that front.
Yeah, if we have an NDP orange government in Canada, I know you said Canada is dead. Well, at that point, if that ever happens, then Canada will be in the casket and 6 foot deep at that point.
Yeah, well, Pierre Poilievre has been made the leader by the media.
Mm-hmm.
He's
by endorsements.
Well-spoken, yes, and by endorsements, yes.
He's been endorsed by over 40 MPs, so.
But there's a lot can happen between now and September.
Yes.
So that's the way politics goes. And we'll see.
And we're going to be here to cover it, so that's going to be kind of exciting. Yes. And who knows, we'll throw some more lines out there and see if we can get any other candidates who might want to come out and speak. And if you like the work that we do, you should definitely think about supporting us too. So freedomreporters.com.
Well, I guess I better bring that graphic up, and then we can go to some comments from the people and get their impressions on Joe. So yeah, you can donate at. Go ahead, Brendan.
freedomreporters.com. You can go to freedomreporters.com. We have also the hot link that's in the description for this video below. If you are unable to support us financially, which is quite okay, you can also support this video by giving it a thumbs up and by subscribing to the channel. It'd be really awesome if you could. And furthermore, if you could also share it, that'd be also really amazing. So we are expanding things here, and the channel is growing. It has been growing like over 1,000 subs a week, which is pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, like, even this interview we just did, you're not getting that anywhere else.
No.
You didn't get this. It's just not being done. That's why we need your help, and we do need your help to stay on the air here, to continue doing what we're doing and to continue to expand. And I will say that this platform is also open to all of the other leadership contenders. If any of them want to come on, we'll talk to them as well, because we want to explore all aspects of every issue, all angles, right? Not just because the world is not just black and white. So we will, of course, be fair and make the platform available. We'll do interviews with all of the other candidates, and we will reach out to them to offer them time here as well. But so far, Joe is just getting started, and this is probably the first real major online interview, I think, that has been done that's going to give him some profile, and hopefully that gives him a springboard that gets him more attention through the other media, so that it levels the playing field for him a little bit, because I think that's fair.
Yes, I concur. There should definitely be equal coverage. It's like you had discussed it. There has not been a whole lot of mention of him. And
it was wrong. Yeah, that story that I read today, it was on Yahoo News. In fact, I'll bring it up here. Anytime I ever covered politics, you at least mentioned everybody's name. You at least mentioned their name, right? So they mentioned these two new dudes. Mark Dalton and Scott Atchison. And then they mentioned all the other candidates, Leslyn Lewis, Roman Baber. Oh, I'm sorry. They did mention Joseph in this article. I finally found it here near the bottom. So they did mention him. So I'm glad they did that.
Perfect.
So, but yeah, at least we got to interview him here. And I think that's important. So, yes,
we're going to be.
Oops. I guess he's still there. That's okay. But yeah, you can support us at freedomreporters.com, which is what we said. And we do need your help. So please, please, please consider donating. And to those of you who have donated already, thank you. Thank you very much. So all that being said, we have other things that we can talk about tonight while we still have some time.
Yeah, we got about 30 minutes left, and I think of the content that we have left, I would really like to talk about the laptop from hell.
Sure, yeah, we can do that. Joe Biden.
Yep.
Hunter Biden.
The Bidens. It's like the sitcom from hell. Nobody wants to watch it, but we're subjected to it every day.
Yeah.
Every day we're
So
subjected.
let me just cue up this first clip here.
And so everybody knows that the Hunter Biden laptop is starting to gain some momentum in the news now after a year. The story was dismissed and even censored off of Twitter when it first came out before Joe Biden was elected. And whenever you're ready, let it
Yes, so Bill Barr today said that Joe Biden lied about Hunter Biden's laptop. And this is all going somewhere. It's not just going to be a discussion strictly about this laptop, which is kind of old news. Everybody knows that the laptop was legitimate. Everybody knows that the information on there was verified as it, related to the Biden family's ties in Ukraine. So let's play this clip and just listen to Bill Barr talk about that.
I want to ask you about Hunter Biden because you write about this in some level of detail in the book. Joe Biden, when he was a candidate, Jen Psaki, both dismissed this as it's just Russian disinformation. Now, none other than the New York Times has confirmed, yes, indeed, there was a laptop that was dropped off at a shop in Delaware, and yes, indeed, it had emails on it that are now being investigated by the Department of Justice. You say that you yelled at President Trump when he asked you about it. You said, Mr. President, I can't talk about that. I am not going to. Trump protested, if that was one of my kids, and you said, damn it, Mr. President, I'm not going to talk to you about Hunter Biden, period. You are no longer in office, so let's get you to talk about it. Where do you think this is headed?
Well, I'm limited in what I can say because I don't want to discuss any possible ongoing investigations, but my reaction to the president there was obviously resisting the idea of injecting a criminal investigation of one of the candidate's children into the race when there hasn't been any definitive judgment over at the Department of Justice. So I made it clear I wasn't going to discuss criminal cases with him, especially ones that he might have an interest in. So I would still do that today, but I was very disturbed during the debate when candidate Biden lied to the American people about the laptop. He squarely confronted with the laptop, and he suggested that it was Russian disinformation and pointed to the letter written by some intelligence people that was baseless, which he knew was a lie. And I was shocked by that. And fortunately, the DNI came out and said, no, it's not disinformation. The FBI said the same thing. Media ignored it. So when you're talking about interference in an election, I can't think of anything more than that.
Knowing what you know of the case, do you think that there is any legal liability for the president here? Perhaps not while he's in office.
I wouldn't want to venture an opinion on that.
Let me ask it a different way, Bill. So obviously there was the media coverage of this, which obviously is being highlighted, was all over the place and atrocious. And now there's the New York Post, for example, the headline right now is the White House ignores its Hunter problem. Suddenly Jen Psaki can't comment on something that she commented on many times before. So does the White House have a problem here?
Well, I think now that, from a political standpoint, now that this is in people's consciousness, it had been suppressed up till now, obviously they have a hot potato, and just to see how they handle it will be interesting.
So, yeah, Bill Barr, he's kind of thrown Trump under the bus in some respects with that book that he wrote. But that's an interesting comment that he makes, saying that Hunter Biden lied and the media ignored, and he acknowledged all of that. So it just brings all of this back up at a time when we have all of this stuff going on in Ukraine. And isn't that interesting? Because these politicians who are telling us all that we have to send arms over there and we should bomb the heck out of Russia and get involved in creating a no-fly zone to protect Ukraine, and telling us that there are no Nazis there, so because they have a Jewish president. All of this stuff just raises a lot of questions and makes you kind of take another look at from a different perspective on everything we're being told through the media. He says that Joe Biden lied. The media ignored it. And then we've got this, also coming from Dan Bongino with regard to this as well. Any comments on that before we bring up this next clip, Brendan?
I'm actually glad that the laptop came back out and people are starting to talk about it again. I think that this should be talked about. It should be shouted upon from the highest mountain with the biggest megaphone, and it should be that way until the truth comes out, because this is another thing, and it's just like the Trudeau election where blackface pictures are released and made public right before the election, and it has no sway in the election. The Hunter Biden laptop comes out. Well, I guess I can't really say that on YouTube, can I? So, scrap
I don't
that.
know.
But my point being is this big news story about the Bidens comes out, and like it was totally suppressed. People were kicked off of Twitter for even suggesting or mentioning it. So yeah, this needs to come back, and it needs a conclusion.
So I like Dan Bongino, and I like a lot of what he says. But let's listen to this clip here. He's going to come up right here. He's going to first talk a little bit about what's going on in Ukraine, and then they're going to talk about the laptop again. And he's going to have a perspective on that I think is quite relevant. So let's just listen carefully to what he says about Ukraine, then about the laptop.
Florida, and bring in Dan Bongino, the host of Unfiltered. Dan, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys. Ainsley, how are you? You got to admire the people of Mariupol. I mean, Russia said, we'll give you till 5 o'clock in the morning to come out with the white flag and surrender, or we're going to kill all of you. And they said, nope, drop dead.
Yeah, they gave him the double-barreled middle finger there. Listen, it's what I've been saying for 3 weeks on the show now. There's a significant difference between taking territory and occupying territory, guys. It's not the same thing. We've seen this, throughout. I mean, Russia, the Soviet Union, guys, the former Soviet Union, has experience with this. They steamrolled into Afghanistan, had really very little resistance whatsoever when you go back and read the history on it. But look what happened. It turned into a suicide mission as the years piled up and the losses accumulated as they tried to occupy the same territory they took, with air quotes. Now you have a more organized population with a kind of a better sense of a cohesive national identity. And you think you're just going to walk into their towns and cities and say, hey, look, we're here. Everybody, genuflect and get down on a knee. It's not going to happen. I mean,
I'm just going to pause it there, because as much as I like Dan Bongino, I think he's a little bit off target here, because I think he's missing an important point, and that point is, and the media in general is not touching on this, I don't think Putin wants to occupy Ukraine. He wants Zelensky to surrender, and he wants the country to be neutral, and he wants to guarantee that the country will be neutral and not become part of NATO. I don't think he wants to control or occupy it. He doesn't want to control it. He wants it neutral, which means he doesn't control it, and the West doesn't control it. I don't even see, as I said before, a downside to that. I see only an upside for the people of Ukraine and the country in general, because they get to maintain their sovereignty and they get to determine their own destiny as a nation.
I don't trade with whoever you want. I mean, you can make trade deals with,
and they wouldn't even have to spend any money on a military. So all of that kind of money could be saved and go into social programs, infrastructure to make the country prosperous and create a good life for all of the people who live there. But the West obviously wants control of Ukraine, just as Russia wants them out. But Russia is not going in, and they haven't taken control because they don't want control. They just want them to surrender. That is an important point. I just wanted to stop and pause and mention that, because I think Dan Bongino is off the mark on this particular issue just in that way. And there's a lot of cheerleading going on here, even on Fox, because you have a lot of neocons who come on here. There's a lot of corporate money at play here. And there are people like Sean Hannity and even Mark Levin who are rattling their sabers. We need to be careful about, I think, the way we digest the information that they're feeding us. So I just point that out. And maybe I'm off the mark. Maybe you disagree with me. Maybe Putin does want to take over the country and then move into Europe and take over half the world. Maybe I'm completely off base, but I don't think so. Let's let this roll, and we'll see where he takes us now.
It's not just me. I'm not claiming to be some, a future teller here. Anybody who's had any experience in national security or military tactics, guys, said the same thing. Occupying the place and taking it are two entirely different things. And Putin's finding that out now the hard way.
Does it look to you like the Ukrainians are winning when you look at these images?
No.
Brandon? No, I don't think so.
No,
He's not doing either. He's not.
I think that Russia is just looking to break the place because he's saying, oh, well, Russia doesn't understand this and that. But they do because of something called Stalingrad, which was a city that was leveled to the ground. And you just have to watch the movie Enemy at the Gates to understand how the Russians operate. They understand you can break a city to the ground, but it doesn't mean it's theirs. I think Russia just wants to break Ukraine because they're pissed at it. They don't want anything to do with it, but they'll break it before they'll let NATO go hang around there.
Yes.
He's not occupying. He's not taking the place, and he's not occupying the place. He's got one town, and there's actually people in the streets protesting their existence, screaming at these soldiers as they just get out of my house. So we'll see where this goes. Let me ask you, Dan, if you're Zelensky, he's pushing for talks now. Do you think time is on his side that if Russia could be bled out here, he can get them entirely out of his country? Or does he see the death and destruction and think, I have to stop it here and risk losing a portion of his country?
You know, Brian, I got some bad news on this front. There are really no good options. There are only a series of less bad, malicious options now. I mean, going forward, what happens? Let's say there's a peace agreement tomorrow. He gives up certain portions of eastern Ukraine and even portions of southern Ukraine. Say that happens, right, Zelensky? I mean, how long is it before Putin or a potential replacement for Putin does the same thing again when they get in political trouble in Russia and engages in another attack in Ukraine? I mean, they're literally next door neighbors.
I think that if he could do this again, he wouldn't do this.
No, I don't know, Brian. We said the same thing after the Soviet incursion into Afghanistan. Man, maybe they learned their lesson there, and that didn't happen. So my point, I mean,
They
seriously.
changed leaders.
So my point is,
They dissolved afterwards.
Yeah, and then they're back in Ukraine. Exactly what I just said. You got another leader, same problem. So here's my issue. So what's your other option? Your only other option would be to either do some kind of a soft defense agreement like we tried in 1994 when they gave up their nukes. That didn't work. Or to admit them into NATO, and then you potentially have a severe escalation where the Russians feel like they have to go to war. I'm not here to deliver good news and be a phony. I don't think there are any good options at this point. There's only temporary bad options.
He's right about that.
So, Dan, let's talk about Hunter Biden, because the New York Times, the story has recently put out a story saying that they did authenticate his laptop. It was his laptop. GOP's talking about possibly probing him or probing this after the midterms. Does that happen? And why aren't Democrats talking about this? Other media outlets aren't talking about it. There was a recent survey that said the majority of Democrats don't even know about this story.
Well, there's a reason they want this Hunter Biden laptop story to go away, and it's not the obvious one. Well, it would reflect poorly on Hunter Biden. Listen, the media doesn't care about Hunter Biden. They care about protecting Democrats. Let's just get that straight, okay? They'd throw Hunter Biden overboard tomorrow if they thought it would save Joe Biden. The reason they need this laptop story to go away is because Ukraine has been a piggy bank for swamp rats on both sides of the political aisle for decades. If you were pro-Russia or pro-European in Ukraine, you could make a fortune and make American lobbyists and former politicians and swamp rats a fortune by lobbying Congress for either side, okay?
That's the important point.
Bingo.
Okay?
That was a good point for sure.
Corruption.
But I'm going to disagree with what he said that the media would throw Hunter Biden in the garbage and drop of a hat. I don't think that's true, because just a year ago, Hunter wrote a book, and he was on, what's that bozo from The Man Show? Jimmy Kimmel. He was on the Jimmy Kimmel Show pushing out his book. They love Hunter Biden because, I mean, all they have to do is either look into the laptops, look into the painting, look into the dealings with Burisma. It's got corruption written all over it.
Well, that's the thing, but it's not. It doesn't stop there. The whole point here is, and Dan Bongino touched on this. All these politicians, they've all been in there. They've all been engaging in corrupt activities. Not all of them, okay, but a lot of politicians, a lot of bureaucrats. They go in there. They use their positions through the U.S. government, through other NATO countries. They get their kids or relatives plum positions with different companies, or they make business deals that they would otherwise never have access to except through their political connections and their political influence. And they get engaged in all kinds of money laundering and affairs in there that I'm sure they don't want us to know about. More than that, they don't want that gravy train to end. So when you have a bunch of politicians who have been getting filthy rich and using Ukraine as a giant money laundering machine, and then they stand up and they tell us that we need to go to war with Russia, you better ask yourself, why? Is it because they're trying to preserve democracy in a country where they have a CIA installed president who's a puppet of NATO and a puppet really of the United States? Or is there maybe some other reason? Is it maybe because some of these politicians have business interests there, or corrupt business interests? What's the real reason? Who's getting rich? They always say follow the money. Well, the media refused to follow the money in the last U.S. presidential election. They refused to acknowledge that any of this was going on.
At their own detriment. Like, they could have, like, how do you sell a story? Like, that's a big story. There's a huge election going on. And
the New York Post broke it. They brought that out. It was a huge story, but they wanted Trump gone. Why did they want Trump gone? Because Trump was exposing this stuff. That's what that's what the impeachment was all about. That's what the whole, all the crap surrounding his phone call to Zelensky, where they said that he was trying to hold the weapons, the missiles ransom, right? Withhold that unless he got Zelensky to investigate Biden, blah, 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 blah. They didn't want Trump to expose or end any of this stuff because it's not just Biden. It's a whole bunch of these people, a whole bunch of them.
What's her name? Newland there.
Yeah, well, I mean, she's got massive influence.
Victoria Newland.
But it's not just her. It's the politicians.
Mm-hmm.
It's the bureaucrats who go in there and they get connected with these companies. Look at Joe Biden himself. Barack Obama sent him over there and had him head up an anti-corruption unit or initiative, okay? And when he went over there, did he address the corruption? Well, Rudy Giuliani has all kinds of documents, court documents, showing that he wasn't doing anything of the sort. In fact, it's pretty clear that Joe Biden was getting in deeper and deeper in all kinds of corrupt business dealings. And then when there was going to be an investigation into Burisma and Hunter Biden, he made sure that came to an end, didn't he?
Of course.
By refusing to hold money, and it's all on tape. It's all on video. Right? What do you think, Brendan?
Oh, I think this is deep. I, at the same time, know how this is going to go. They'll have some sort of congressional hearing, and there'll be a bunch of talking and blah, 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 and then nothing will get done. So that's what's likely to happen, but that's what makes this such a huge crime. And it is a crime. And now people are dying because of this crime that the Bidens have committed. They dragged everybody in with them.
So yeah, they're if Russia gets control of Ukraine, then all of this stuff stops. But not even that they get control, but if Ukraine becomes a neutral country and the United States is no longer allowed to have the kind of influence in there that they have right now, where they're essentially controlling that country, then it's not just about putting weapons in there and having Ukraine become part of NATO. It's about the money train stopping for a lot of political families in the United States and other NATO countries. Make no mistake.
And that's
that is what a lot of this is.
That's why I don't think anything will happen.
Everybody knows that. Hunter Biden and his job over there was symptomatic of a larger swamp problem.
Exactly.
And in order to make that problem go away, they were afraid when Donald Trump got in office that he was going to look into this, which he did. That was the whole essence of the impeachment thing, saying, hey, what's going on over there? And they said it was a quid pro quo. They wanted Trump gone. And you think it's a coincidence, guys, that the exact same people, the same group of people who were involved in the collusion hoax, who had meetings at the White House with the whistleblower in the Ukraine hoax, were the same people involved in the impeachment hoax? They had to make Donald Trump go away. They didn't want him looking into the Ukrainian piggy bank at all. So when the collusion hoax didn't work, they moved on to step two, the impeachment hoax. It's the same people. I'm going to cover it in detail using left-wing political reports on my podcast today. It's irrefutable. Yeah. It's not a conspiracy theory. They actually had meetings at the White House afterwards with the same group of people. That's why they need the laptop to go away, because it's symptomatic of a larger problem. Swamp rats making money in Ukraine for either side.
Well, it is curious that after 17 months of radio silence, the New York Times suddenly, out of nowhere, suddenly addresses it to fix their history with the story.
Well, there's a reason for that, Steve. There's either one of two explanations here. Either Hunter Biden is about to get indicted and they're trying to massage the story early on, or the New York Times has decided Joe Biden, the polling is just too bad, that they need to send the signal with a wink and a nod. He needs to go away before the next election.
100%.
We need a different candidate.
You know what? We said the same thing on Friday, because it's like, why did they suddenly snap out of the hibernation? Right. Meanwhile, we want to go out to Colorado real quick. If you've got kids in Cherry Creek School.
Okay, so that's enough of that. So yeah, I mean, he's in these points, he's hitting the nail right on the head. And we all need to be aware of this, because, as I say, what is the true motivation behind these politicians and bureaucrats telling us all we need to go to war with Russia? Why haven't they been, why are they so reluctant to investigate or go down this path toward peace where they keep Ukraine a neutral country, which would save a lot of lives, bring a quick resolution to this thing? Why have they continued to dig in their heels? What's their true motivation? Is it because they're really interested in preserving democracy in a country where there really isn't true democracy? Or is it something else? In fact, today, what did we see? We saw that Zelensky has outlawed a whole bunch of political parties. I'll find the information on that quickly here as I get Brendan to comment on what I just put forward there.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And these swamp creatures, the blood of the Ukraine people is on their hands. And that's not being stated anywhere. I believe that wholeheartedly, that this corruption has caused a mess beyond repair. And, I'm really concerned that this is still not over yet. And that's why I don't think that there is going to be a quick resolution on this. And Russia, quite frankly, just doesn't care. The only thing that's going to... When Dan said that there isn't really a good solution here, is because the West is not going to get what they want, and Russia is not going to get what they want, and Ukraine definitely is not getting what they want either.
And here's here's the story from the Epoch Times. Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky announced a measure that bans 11 opposition political parties, alleging they have ties to Russia. He announced in a Telegram video posted March 20th, so it was yesterday, reported today. He says, any activity of politicians aimed at splitting or collaborating will not succeed, he said. Zelensky also said that wartime exposes quite well the paucity of personal ambitions of those who try to put their own ambitions or their own party or career above the interests of the state, according to a translation. The bottom line is he's outlining 11 different political parties, his political opponents. He's already in the past, before the Russians came in, he was jailing his political opponents. Mm-hmm. And yet our politicians sit there and say to us, we need to preserve democracy. This is a fight for democracy. We need to fight to the end and give him everything he needs to win.
Just like how the United States preserved their democracy in 2014 when they funded all those brand new media outlets
in Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Mm.
Yeah.
Something smells there, and it doesn't smell good.
You know, if it was truly a democracy, you don't censor your political opponents, you don't shut them down, you don't throw them in jail, and you certainly don't ban or make the parties, your opposing political parties, illegal. And yet we even see that those same kind of tactics happening here. Now, what kind of government does that, Brendan? Communistic governments, right? Communist governments, and what's the other kind?
I believe it starts with an N and ends with an I.
Nazi governments. Oh, that's right. Yes. Yeah, that's very fascistic of them, I would say. But this is a country that, according to Yahoo News, and let me bring this up. This is interesting as well. And more spin. More spin. Zelensky, Putin's Nazi lie, may show he's in an information bubble. This is from Yahoo News. Clearly a propaganda machine. And the story is, when Russian President Vladimir Putin held a pro-war rally last week in Moscow Arena, a banner over the stage blared for a world without Nazism for Russia. Much of Russia's justification for war is based on this claim. Putin has portrayed the Ukrainian government as a, quote, gang of drug addicts and neo-Nazis, as little Nazis and, quote, openly neo-Nazi. The Kremlin is vowing to denazify Ukraine by force. The Kremlin's messaging has been remarkably consistent on this point, for a reason. The point is also, they say at Yahoo News, clearly false. Ukraine's democratic government has one of the few Jewish leaders on the world stage. In contrast, it is Russia's increasingly autocratic government that is distorting reality. This is according to Yahoo News, injecting they're editorializing within a story that is supposed to be objective to justify invading its neighbors. In a Sunday interview with CNN host Fareed Zakaria, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky addressed the false, so they've already just established it, it's just false, Nazism allegation at length, bringing up his family history battling the Nazis and accusing the Kremlin of deploying Nazi-like military tactics. Okay, you know what? We've shown you over the last weeks that there are actual Nazis in Ukraine, that they have a long-standing history that goes all the way back to World War II, that some of these groups have been in existence since World War II, that they supported Nazi Germany, and that they still exist today, and that there are some newer ones that have emerged as well. I think the biggest and most powerful among them is the Azov Battalion, okay? Stepan Bandera is a Nazi from World War II, is their national hero.
The Banderates?
Yes, it doesn't matter that Zelensky is Jewish. That's not the point. And that's an optic shield that they're using, because people today, and I've said this before, people don't even understand what Nazism is, because the definition of Nazism, the way Nazism has been taught since World War II, has been something of a lie. And we're going to get into this again in another episode. And a lot of people are probably, I know that a lot of people disagree with me because I've had some feedback on this. And that's
Ooh.
fine. Okay, I've had some people emailing me saying, "Oh no, you've got it all wrong," because I
really?
said that
I
the
have not
left.
heard that.
Because I know, yeah, like everybody always agrees with me. Fascism has, or I should say, communism. Let me rephrase this. Fascism has its roots in the left. Fascism is a left-wing political ideology. It's more closely aligned with communism and far left socialism than anything on the other side of the political spectrum. And I will get into this more in another episode when we have more time, because it really deserves further attention. I'm not alone in this. There are many people more learned than I who share this perspective. But I'm convinced, I've always thought this. Fascism, Nazism is on the left. It is a socialist ideology, and it's rooted in power and coercion, just like communism. It's all about big government control over every aspect of people's lives, coercion. It's all on the left. And as you move further to the right, you get more freedom, until you get to the far end of the right-hand spectrum, which is anarchy, where you have no government involvement at all, and everything is just chaos. That's anarchy. That's an anarchist. We'll get into more of this. So the point is, this story is a lie, and they're taking advantage of people's ignorance on this issue in order to say, oh, how could they possibly be Nazis in Ukraine when they have a Jewish president? It's because the Nazis in Germany used Jews as a scapegoat and demonized them. But
the Banderites do the same thing, and so does the Azov Battalion. They absolutely hate anybody who's Russian, and half the country is Russian. They just want Ukrainians, which is, the line there is so blurred. It's like the line is like white European all the way up to Siberia. It like doesn't even matter anymore. Right. Who you are is they identify as Ukrainian. They don't want to hear any Russian speaking language or anything like that. They've outlawed in the country speaking Russian. Could you imagine, Rick Walker, what would happen in Canada if they said to Quebec, you're not allowed to speak French anymore. That is now deemed illegal. Tell me what would happen in that situation.
Yeah, I mean,
the sky would fall. People would cry.
Right. So the point is, it's not the key. The prejudice, discrimination, demonization of Jewish people is not an integral part of Nazism, or as an ideology, or fascism as an ideology. That is just one thing that the Nazis in Germany did. But you can replace that scapegoat with any number of different groups that you want to target. It doesn't have to be Jewish. It could be any group.
It could be the unvaccinated.
It could exactly. You're right on the money.
So I do have to add here. So one, thank you Yahoo News for the very good fodder for this television show, because this is just so easy to pick apart. But secondly, that argument that because Zelensky is Jewish, excuse him from Nazi-like behavior, that's very cheap.
Yeah, that's because you could easily have a Jewish Nazi. He might not, send Jewish people to concentration camps, but you could have a Jewish fascist who targets any group. It could be a group within a Jewish group. Just as in Canada, it could be the unvaccinated could be targeted by a fascist if that were ever to happen. I can't imagine that. But yes. So you could have a Jewish prime minister who is a fascist because the policies and the ideology that he subscribes to target a particular group of people and use them as a scapegoat. But that even that isn't just the only thing that defines fascism. We'll get into more of that later. But the point is, this article is extremely misleading, and it takes advantage and abuses people because they're misleading you. by taking advantage of people's ignorance and the lack of proper education on these issues and history.
Yeah.
It's very, very dangerous.
They openly look, all these groups openly want to dispel another group of people entirely. And at the end of the day, that's wrong. That's
Which
bad.
brings us back to this whole issue in Ukraine. And the reason they're doing that is because they want to discredit anyone that says, anything against blowing people up over there, right? Because they want to go to war. But this brings us back to the whole Ukrainian issue. And they're deflecting, right? It's like, no, it's about democracy and freedom. That's what we're fighting for over there. And I don't buy it for a minute. That's not what this is about. It's about money. It's about power. It's about NATO. It's about putting weapons into Ukraine. It's about corruption. It's about politicians being in there, lining their pockets with dirty money. It's about improper use of power to get influence, to get people plum jobs and positions that they shouldn't normally have, shouldn't have at all, and for rates of pay that are way higher than they ever should be, because it's all a bunch of BS, because those jobs aren't being held by these people because they're actually doing the work. They're being held because the United States has a stranglehold on, and the West has a stranglehold on Ukraine. These are all the real issues behind what the West is doing. So if you're supporting the war and you're supporting sending money over there and you're supporting sending weapons to kill Russians, then this is really what you're supporting. You're supporting a Western-controlled Ukraine, where all of these things will continue to happen if Ukraine prevails in this conflict. That's what you're supporting. If you're thinking of going over there to fight and put your life on the line because you think you're fighting for democracy and freedom, think again. You're going to get shot at, potentially killed, because of all the things I really just laid out. That's the truth. That's closer to the truth than these people telling you that it's just for freedom and democracy, which are just catchphrases that don't really truly apply to this conflict. And if you don't believe me, then let's just go back in time a little bit and listen to the man himself, Mr. Joe Biden, because here's this clip that we have all heard before, and I'll just remind everyone that when they were accusing Trump of being corrupt over there, and the quid pro quo, well, here it is from Joe Biden again, talking about withholding $1 billion unless the investigation into those corrupt business dealings was discontinued. I'll play it here again.
Convincing that we should be providing for loan guarantees. I went over, I guess, the 12th, 13th time, and I was supposed to announce that there's another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk, they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they're walking out the press conference. I said, no, I'm not going to. We're not going to give you the $1 billion.
$1 billion.
They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said, I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting $1 billion. I said, you're not getting $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was 6 hours. I looked, I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. The prosecutor's not fired. You're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired. And they put in place someone who was solid at the time. Well, they made some genuine, substantial changes institutionally and with people.
What a tough guy he is, eh? He just laid it right on the line. Wow. What? He's the man. He's the man. Old Joe.
Don't mess with me. I took care of corn pop, you know.
$1 billion. So you get rid of the prosecutor who's investigating these business dealings involving Burisma, and you don't get $1 billion. You don't get the $1 billion. Well, son of a bitch. Yeah, tough guy. Mr. Aviator Sunglass Man. Yeah. Well, that, folks, is what's been going on over there for a long time. They've been using that country as a money laundering machine, and they don't want it to stop. And that's one of the main reasons, trust me on this one, that's one of the main reasons they want to stand firm. They don't want to give that country up. There's a lot of money flowing through there. So let's just give the weapons to the Ukrainian people and send them out onto the streets and let them stand up against those tanks. Give them a few Stinger missiles and some machine guns and some night vision goggles. And here's another question. Do you think that all of our Canadian politicians, like, say, politicians who have been seen over there associating with actual Nazis, shaking hands with them, say politicians that hang out here with actual Nazis and hold Nazi banners in Canada, do you think that they're squeaky clean? I'm just asking. Just asking. Like, what's Chrystia Freeland's deal over there, she's got ties to Ukraine. Like, what's her deal? And, there she is again with that banner. What's the deal with her and the Nazi group that supposedly, according to Yahoo News, doesn't exist? Well, I guess all the video we've been showing you and the documentary that NBC News did back in, 2015? Mm-hmm. 2015, with all those kids going to the summer Nazi camp to learn how to fight in wars. None of that's real either. Even though we showed you the video, I guess it's all just made up.
Well,
and all those Nazi flags and
I mentioned this on the Ritter podcast, and I'm still baffled by it. The media has strongly been calling out the neo-Nazi problem in Ukraine, as they're supposed to, for probably 8 years or so. And then, just like that, at the drop of the hat, the neo-Nazi problem disappears. It is the strangest thing. It is what I like to call pissing on your back and telling you it's raining. It's crazy.
Well,
this is some Twilight Zone stuff that we're at here. That, there's no Nazis there. And it's like, you guys have literally been reporting for the past 8 years that there's Nazis there.
If liberals and socialists and even communists are supposed to be on the left because they're so virtuous and philanthropic, and fascism is supposed to be on the right, wouldn't that be diametrically opposed? And why is it that Chrystia Freeland is standing there holding an actual banner from an actual Nazi banner from an actual Nazi group in Ukraine, and yet she loses her freaking mind when the truckers roll into Ottawa, and Justin Trudeau does the same thing, and all these liberals on the left lose their minds and have to paint all the truckers as fascists and Nazis, which, I don't get at all. And if there's even one planted Nazi flag at a trucker protest in Ottawa, which it clearly was, it's obvious that Nazi flag, which wasn't even down at the protest, it was up at the Chateau Laurier Hotel. It was up at that hotel. Mm-hmm. In an area that was blocked off to the public, by the way. And the photo was taken by a photographer who worked and works for the Prime Minister. I'm sorry. I'm having a little difficulty with this. But that one single Nazi flag, that was enough to invoke the Emergencies or Wartime Measures Act. But here she is. I'm having trouble reconciling this, Brendan. And then it's like, and we have to send all of these weapons to Ukraine. I'm just telling you, folks, this is not black and white. This is not that simple. And we should be asking really tough questions of our government. But the media has everybody, jacked up, and they've been cheerleading for war. And when I watch CTV, it's this constant narrative where, the Ukrainian people are the victims and the Russians are the aggressors. And it's just, that's it. That's all that you get from those guys. I watched.
Well, they are a victim. They are a victim of Nazism.
Yeah, they are. They're a victim. Well, they're a victim of the Russians coming in there. They're a victim of the war. They're a victim of this entire situation, which I think our politicians are prolonging, and have helped push everyone into. And we're all paying a price for it too. So think about that when you go to buy gas the next time, or the next time you pay the heating bill on your home, or the next time you pay 30, 40, 50% more for your groceries, because you're paying a price for these politicians and bureaucrats who clearly are afraid to relinquish control over Ukraine in whatever way that they have influence over there, because they've got interests, either political interests, or interests with regard to power, or interests with regard to money. And we're paying the price. The Ukrainian people are paying a much bigger price. That's my opinion and my analysis, because it's not just an opinion. That's all based on actual facts, verifiable, and information that we've been showing you here over the last few weeks. And I think it aligns with everything we've been hearing from Scott Ritter, last night from Ian Nunn, from other analysts that we've had on, and other information we've shown you, including video footage acknowledging and proving that there are Nazis there. So when Yahoo News is telling you that they don't exist, we've shown you repeatedly that it's true.
Actually, the mainstream media has also shown you repeatedly that it's true.
That's exactly right. And, before this war started, you go back to 2014, 2015, there are documentaries. We showed you footage from an NBC left field documentary back in 2015 that laid a lot of this stuff out indirectly by showing you this summer camp for Nazis run by the Azov Battalion, which is a Nazi group. We showed you.
And we've also shown you footage of the Azov Battalion burning down small businesses and participating in thuggery inside of town halls and against politicians. Like, the whole thing is whacked. But
and if you want to support our work, because this is the kind of stuff that we do here, where we give you a wider perspective so that you can be more informed, so that you can get closer to the truth, you can donate at freedomreporters.com. Folks, we really need your help. We are doing the kind of work that it needs to be done because we are in an information war. Now more than ever, because the propaganda is flowing fast and free on both sides, on all sides. They're all trying to sell us something. They're all trying to get us to think a particular way because they have an agenda, and they want us they want the public to support what they're doing so that we cough up the tax dollars and approve the expenditures without too much resistance. And so if they're not coercing us, they're trying to convince us. And they're trying to convince us that we need to be coerced. And it's a sick cycle. And you've seen the results of that, this massive psyop, when we showed you that video earlier tonight of the fellow who was yelling at me. That's just one example of the psychosis or the mental psychological damage that's been done to the people in this country. And if you think about it, even this propaganda surrounding the war is another form of mental or psychological assault on us in order to get us to conform and comply. And if you don't, you're a traitor, and you're not one of, part of the collective, and you're not, even with Ukraine, I guess we're all supposed to all be in it together. We're all in it together. You know what? That's another fascist mindset. We're all in it together, and there is no room for dissent, which is another thing that I brought up over the weekend, called Gleichschaltung, which is, for the fascists, a strategy whereby they enforce compliance and conformity through systemic and systemic means and censorship, because there can be no room for dissent. And we're seeing that play out. We'll get into more of that in a future episode as well. freedomreporters.com. We have a lot more work to do here to wake people up. And I think just about everybody here is awake. Not woke, awake.
And if you are unable to help us out financially, please consider subscribing to our channel and giving this video a thumbs up. It is greatly appreciated. We really appreciate all the support we have been given so far. We can't do this without you. So it's been a real pleasure delivering our ideas and our analysis on current events for you guys, and we look forward to doing it for many days to come. In the meantime, we had a great discussions tonight, and we have covered a lot of different grounds. And with that being said, I'm Brendan Kennedy, the co-host here at Maverick News. Thanks for having me.
And I'm Rick Walker. Tomorrow night, Rhonda Jubenville will be here to talk about the New Blue Party in Ontario. There is an Ontario, Canada election coming up, so she'll be discussing that, and we'll look at how that ties into a lot of these other national and even global issues with regard to the New Blue Party. And she's also going to be running as a New Blue candidate, so she is uniquely qualified to talk to us about that. She's been one of our freedom reporters on here in the past, but now she's moving into the political arena, and she'll be here to talk about that tomorrow evening, right here on the Maverick News Channel, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, I am Rick Walker. We are the Freedom Reporters, and we are the antivirus program for your mind. Catch you all tomorrow night on The Flip Side.